What's good, guys? So, about to go take a dip in the hot tub, and just wanted to throw this little video together real quick for y'all to hear. I would say the second edition of the Crypto Accredited Investor Chat. I didn't begin recording, I would say, until about halfway into it, so it was rather long, but hope you enjoy. Y'all be cool.
At least on paper help and
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
so if assuming that let's pretend that this Biden administration and the next iteration of the Biden administration comes into play, the next sort of presidential election, then I could see the Saudis sort of playing with the Russian sort of brick system and pushing that forward more so than an American 4 years, 8 years sort of time frame, right? So the Saudis are also waiting this thing out. If they feel that this is a move that they're going to make, that's where it becomes interesting, because then you're almost at a full blown two economic powerhouses. One with the BRICS nation, with almost half of the population of the world.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South
Europe
Africa.
and U.S. sort of on one side. And that's where I think the monetary system competition sort of evolves into a full-blown war, in my perspective. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But you never know how this will play out. It all depends. I guess that's why
I think one of the interesting things that I'm seeing is that is India and South Africa in BRICS. I can see China, Russia, Brazil. That's a good shout out. But India very much so wants to seek closer connections with Europe. But it's a complete clusterfuck in the border in between with Afghanistan, but also of course Pakistan, but also with Iraq and Iran. Basically, that entire region there makes it very difficult to make a good connection between India and Europe. Because if you go north, you basically cross in Chinese infrastructure. So the Indians are very much isolated. That's very interesting. And South Africa has a lot of raw materials, and we'll see very soon enough how they will align.
Here's how I see the Indian perspective. Having lived in Dubai for many years and understanding at least some of the political sort of challenges that India faces, I got a chance to really connect with a lot of high-level Indian.
Cool. They're along in the United Arab Emirates, right? United Arab Emirates is very close to India, right? Through the Muslim side of it.
Well, from a business side, a lot of the politicians in India tend to launder their money through real estate projects within the United Arab Emirates. But push that aside. I think when you start to look at India and you look at the macros of India, they're an opportunistic sort of nation, right? I mean, it's ingrained culture in them. They'll patiently wait this out with regards to how things would fall. If you start to look in compare them to the Chinese culture is completely different. The Indians have a way of really being opportunistic when it comes down to energy, as an example, right? We've recently seen how they they play this energy market, and they're the beneficiary of this sort of Russia Europe fiasco with regards to energy. So when the Indians come into play, I think their main take is, do we want to be the next powerhouse with regards to some of the things we want to do with India? And I think they foresee it as a long game between them and China on how the world would view India as a next sort of global powerhouse in the economy. What's interesting is this flip and flop from Indian politicians and their sort of game and how this would work out might be detriment to who the leadership in India is at some point in time, because there's a lot of clause within that political system that have it's not as we're all as one as far as India, and we all have the same idea. They've got a lot of politics that's happening in there that could be detriment to how they interact with this whole thing when shit hits the fan. But South Africa, I don't know too much about. It'd be interesting how some of those resources get divvied up, and whether they're able to sort of sustain a full-blown global recession. I could see Africa, also having a lot of problems when it does come into play. But then again, they're used to being poor. A lot of those nations are used to being poor. So we'll see.
Well, they got to get China. It's China that's doing it to Africa.
Do you think, and this might be like sidetracking, but do you think a lot of those Commonwealth will break away now that the Queen has passed?
I think the Queen is irrelevant. I think they've already passed away more and more from England. I don't think necessarily that's a bad thing. They have more of a shared history together, but I don't think on the grand scheme of things that it still plays as much as a large part as people in England would like it to be. Yeah, that's my take on that. You're working for me, Lady K. I don't know if you're speaking.
No, my audio is still terrible.
Did your audio also eat a Reaper chip?
What was that?
Never mind. I was wondering if it was the Reaper chip.
Oh. No, I survived that.
You survived that. Yeah, that's great. Just a question for Ghost regarding India. Don't you think that China is like a big threat for India to unite against when China now controls the source of the Ganges in the mountains? They placed their military there during COVID, I think, 2 years ago, and also the whole thing with Sri Lanka and the Chinese port there. Do you think that would keep India on their toes?
I think it's such a small thing. I mean, if you start to look into the population of India and what they care about, it's such a small section. And again, they're very opportunistic, and the population of India tend to really not care too much about the politics in play in India, unless it affects the bottom line as far as their profits, right? A lot of the Indian commercial sort of successes have gone because they've allowed this sort of small-time businesses to grow naturally, and at the same time, they're not as dependent with the governments when it comes down to these businesses, right? So I don't believe it's such a big deal. Obviously, the media of those countries would always go, oh wait, the Chinese are bad, oh wait, the Indians are bad. But at the end of the day, it's such a small issue for two massive populations, right? They care about the economics of things, whether they can feed their people accordingly, right, so if they don't riot, right? So if India were were to somehow be damaged economically and that sort of civil unrest happens with India, you can damn well be sure that these politicians would be the first to react, because a lot of these guys are very reactive in nature. They want to test it to the limits. They sort of follow this. It's peculiar because they sort of follow this Gandhi sort of teaching in their society, right? If you ever dealt with an Indian businessman, you better have the effing patience to make sure that you wait this guy out, because he'll ask for a discount, and then 2 years later ask for that same discount, not saying that he's ready. That's just how patient they are. They want to make sure that they've actually exhausted you to a point to submissively say, okay, I might as well give this guy a discount on this product and so forth. So culturally, they're like that. And then when it comes down to war, there is no appetite, unless it's with Pakistan, because with the Pakistanis and the Indians have always had this sort of internal hatred between them that's been growing for centuries, since Pakistanis have sort of seceded from the Indian Empire, right? So if they're going to fight anybody, I don't think they want to fight with the Chinese. I think they want to fight with the Pakistanis first.
No, I agree. I don't think they want to fight with the Chinese, but I think the Chinese are putting some sort of external pressure on India to stay sharp. And I know that there's a big problem with Pakistan. Thank the British for that when they left, for dividing that up and creating that clusterfuck. But yeah.
I just don't see the Indians. I mean, if you're looking at manufacturing and goods, maybe, or the manufacturing of goods to sell to other countries, maybe there's a urge for India to compete with that. From a servicing standpoint, I don't think they're anywhere close to what other countries are able to provide. The language barrier is a big deal for a lot of these companies that even if you look at a specific sector that what are those, the phone sort of bases, a lot of other countries sort of eat up a lot of that business out of India anyway. They're not doing any major manufacturing in India, right? So what are they really competing against with regards to China?
Well, India wants that, but the problem that they have is they can't get enough energy.
That's true. I mean, but I don't think they get it from. Do you think they're able to get it from Africa? I mean, China.
No, maybe from Russia.
Yeah, Russia. Russia controls the flow.
Maybe the Russians don't have anybody else to sell to, and the Chinese economy is stinking up to wazoo, and the Indian economy.
No, they'll be able to set the price.
I could see a potential where Russia and India sort of have a significant amount of relations when it comes to an energy buyer and seller dynamics.
Especially if Russia isn't selling to Europe anymore. They're probably going to be looking for new markets. That might be something there.
Yeah, but I don't think the Russians don't want to sell to Europe. They understand it's their biggest market, right? They don't have a lot of income outside the energy market. I think, at best, if they do a 2-year winter sort of hold out of Europe, by the third year, the Russians are going to be begging to start selling this stuff
but that's
again.
why they wanted the deep sea port.
Assuming in the next 5 years, nuclear sort of energy is so prevalent in countries like Germany, and that's being able to sort of resurface in other European countries.
The deep sea port in Ukraine. I mean, this is all about assets.
Fourth year or fifth year,
this is all about assets and infrastructure.
Plans get built. So I don't think they want to do it that way. That's why I think whatever war happens, at some point the Russians have to give up within a 3-year time frame, right? Because they don't want to get their economy is not going to be a massive manufacturing economy. What happens when that energy sort of business dries it up and then the Saudis take up all that market share? I don't know.
If. Big if.
So Dave, are you still there? Or
yeah, I'm here.
You're still in the store. I'd love to ask some questions. But I think he's
yeah, I'm here.
I think he's no longer with us.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you're here. Awesome. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was wondering if I could ask you those questions.
About?
Well, Is it possible for someone outside of the U.S. to set up a trust fund in the U.S.?
I know that you can form an LLC or an S corp. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to form a trust. I mean, I don't know anyone who's done it. Because I know, like, Colin is moving his business from England or Great Britain to Georgia. So I know that he's moving his business here, and that's how he's going to be here on visa. So I don't...
Right. I was wondering if I could open up a trust in Wyoming without getting the U.S. nationality.
That would be a Caitlin Long question.
Caitlin Long?
Yes. She's the one that does a lot in Wyoming. Her name is Caitlin Long.
Long?
Yes.
Right. Caitlin Long.
What are you trying to do, Sig? Open up a trust in the U.S.?
This is just something I've been cooking in my head.
Well, if you ever have questions, I have a special trust lawyer that is a personal friend of mine. He can set you up with regards to what kind of things you want to do there. He's Texas-based, though.
That's pretty awesome. There is a 501(c) connection with Wyoming.
Correct.
And I know that they're very crypto-friendly. And it seems to be the state that has all their work due diligently done in regards to crypto when it comes to the senator there, as opposed to the other states. So it just, from a European perspective, seems to make sense to go there where the smart people are. That's basically my view on Wyoming.
Wyoming is great for that, but in addition, there are several other groups that, as far as if you wish to build an enterprise or of some sort.
It's too late for Puerto Rico for me, because I won't have my funds then, if that's one.
No, that wasn't. I was saying in order to structure yourself to shield your assets from your name, to prevent frivolous lawsuits and that sort of stuff. Mark Kohler, Kohler, he's on YouTube.
Yeah.
But they have a team of tax attorneys that operate through the U.S. So just, another free consultation, to ask questions.
That's a great idea. Thank you. And I'm going to look into a trust in the Netherlands as well. I'm probably going to have to at some point.
But yeah, back on what you were saying earlier, though, I completely agree. I think that would be an excellent play. I've stated that a few times, to look at the patent holders and, to just, throw a little mud at the wall on who owns patents as a decent play for the next 5 years.
Yeah, but they don't hold the patent for the BIT ID, DGMV ID, Web3 through Liechtenstein. None of them do.
Right.
So I can see the CFTC was visiting LCX, the commissioner, last week.
Huh.
Yeah, and then she went to Paris and visited the Bacti law, or basically the law in Europe that describes how to deal with utility tokens or in digital assets.
And where's DGMV listed?
Liechtenstein.
No, I mean Uniswap, or I'd have to look that up real quick.
LCX.
Right, but in the United States, we can't do that, even with a VPN. So that's why I'm wondering if it's like Uniswap or some other swap exchange where I could.
Yeah, and maybe MetaMask, but I'm gonna look into that.
I don't use
I,
MetaMask at all.
I can ask for you if you'd like.
I'm trying to pull it up now just to find out. Yeah, it's on Uniswap. Okay.
It's incredibly low, also in volume, and I think it might go a little bit lower, but it will not go much lower than it can already has because their original sales was at 25, 28, and 35 cents.
Yeah, right now they only have roughly $700 of volume on on Uniswap, and that's showing the largest volume. That's showing the largest volume is
Yeah. And then they actually are going to be their finalists for their business model as far as metaverse related companies go. That was pretty interesting too. They have a very good team behind them, DigiCorp, like insanely connected.
Hey Stakes, I just wanted to say happy Saturday. Hope you are doing well.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm alright. Might not buy a house and may spend everything in crypto, so I'm discussing that right now. I see it as my part of my due diligence.
Are you changing your mind more and more over to crypto?
Well, it's
Do you see
basically
there's opportunity? Do you see that if there's opportunities? If you were to do that, would you invest a portion in that with LCX, knowing what you know?
LCX is definitely on my radar. Yes.
Would you allocate 10% or under?
That's a good question. I haven't made up my mind yet. Basically, it comes down to listing all the projects and then listing them all by timeline and probability and risk of whether they're going to be included or not. And then it depends on when they will pump. And they will pump in order because one needs to pump for the other to pump afterwards. So I'm looking into that right now, and I'm getting the funds this month. So I'm gonna do a few more weeks of due diligence that I did for the past 2 years, but I'm gonna do it now, practically from a financial point of view, basically the math behind it all. And I don't know if it's gonna be 10%. I honestly, I haven't chosen a position yet. But it depends on when the bottom hits. But LCX is definitely on my radar. And
Yeah, they got a Chicago office too, right? LCX?
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Like Amazon has been chosen to create the digital euro. But
I saw that.
LCX has a proof of concept with Lulu Enterprise. And Lulu is the Indian Amazon based from the United Arab Emirates.
I'm very familiar with Lulu. I actually know these guys before they were called Lulu.
Lulu has a business agreement with DigiCorp and LCX.
Lulu started out as a grocery store in the Middle East before they started moving to exchanges. And
I think it's 60 billion right now, right? That's what they're valued at.
Yeah, they've done a good job. It used to be some of the leaders of Lulu used to have a grocery store called Lals, Lals, many years ago in the 80s. That's where they made their initial sort of money. They're very self-made, all of these guys.
That's great. I know that the leader or the founder of it is a Muslim as well, which makes it easy to do business in the Emirates, I guess.
I think he turned Muslim because he saw the opportunities of becoming a Muslim.
That could be too. That could be. At least that's the wiki I read from him that I still know.
are you waiting for dipsticks? Don't you think?
I am definitely waiting for the dip. Dip is great with chips, right? Yeah, I'm probably gonna write the leg upwards from a compliance and patent point of view, from a law point of view, from a legalization point of view, and then I'm gonna invest probably in the tech companies that are gonna be behind the infrastructure for smart cities and Web3, and with the raw materials in it as well. That's probably gonna be my next step, and it's gonna be the most ballsy thing I did with money in my life. So, yeah. I'm learning a ton.
Oh, cool.
So that's good.
FTX is on KuCoin. Okay.
Really? That's cool. And I hope one day, this is a dream of mine, I hope one day I can sit in some sort of government position for crypto and in regards to the infrastructure for disability, people that are disabled. And it's what I do professionally. I help people that are socially, mentally, or physically disabled to get a job and to keep a job. And there are some things that I have in mind where blockchain could be very beneficiary, or at least not prey upon them. And I hope to one day incorporate that. And it would be funny if I could do business with an American counterpart in that.
That sounds kind of interesting. Actually, in the last couple of days, I wrote history here in the United States. So on that. So now the disabled can invest, can own assets through the use of a trust using the EIN number, and I just proved that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know that you did. Not bad for a blind cookie boy, right?
Not bad, yeah.
Not bad, yeah. Yeah, I know, man. That's fucking awesome. I was celebrating. That was great. I had a drink on you. And, yeah, well done, man. Well
I'm
done.
so glad to hear, Sticks, that you are helping people that can take care of themselves and things like that, because that's really important. So
I like the job too. Thanks, man. It's great work to do. It's it's one of it's the coolest job I've had so far. So it's really fulfilling, and it's rewarding not only, and it's something that you need a lot of patience for, and people need more time to get there. But there's usually big families behind it, which also benefit from it, and just that entire package. It's just great work to do. Usually, a job, getting your own income, is the best medication for people that have separated with society through their disability to basically feel part of everything again. So it creates a lot of healing. It creates their own independence, financial independence. It creates a rhythm during the day. They're able to take care of themselves without the need for others. It gets people out of the slump of the routine, and just basically gives perspective. And usually the family had to help them for a large part, and now they don't have to anymore, or the person that's not working can help the family. So there's a lot of very powerful factors in play there that at least give me a lot of fulfillment for doing it. Anyway, I'd love to see if the EU and the US can get a common policy on that. That would be fun.
I hope they will. I hope that eventually will be funny to see, because when the crypto and how they can, like you said, how they can manage their crypto and things like that. Someone have to,
Yeah, but it's also from a metadata point of view, that it's if everyone controls their own data and you're not self-sovereign, or you're not thinking clear, or you're selling your own data in order to make ends meet, then that group is going to be preyed upon the first, and they are already usually in a very vulnerable position. And it just keeps them poor and keeps them in the system. And if you can tackle that part, then you basically raise the bar for the lower class, but also eventually for the middle class in society. That's my perspective on it.
Yeah, for me it was to escape the system of impoverishment of disability.
Exactly, and I want to raise the bar for everyone there. So I'm not short of ambition.
Hey, steaks, by the way, a little trick question for you. How do you like your steaks? Raw?
Well, medium raw is a and I usually it's not well represented in the picture, but usually I just go for maximum heat. I oil up the motherfucker on both sides, pepper, salt, throw it on the grill preferably. And the best thing you can do is just before you take it out of the fridge, when you take it out, just leave it on the counter for like a half an hour and let it just warm up to room temperature. Because when meat gets burned and then you take it off the grill, the first time it touches the heat, it basically tightens up, and then when it comes off the grill, it loosens up, and that's the point where all the moisture is gonna go everywhere, and you have to let it rest. And if you don't do that from the beginning out of the fridge and let it sit on the counter for a half an hour, it will never get as tender as it could be. So it's one of the most important steps that you do, is to let the meat rise up to room temperature before you even grill it. And you just get the best steaks, and then you do just 1 minute flip on both sides, depends on the thickness, maybe a little bit more, and then half of the time you rest it, and then I finish it off with a lemon or garlic or maybe a herb, and bon appetit.
1 minute on each side, then you have to have high temperature.
That's funny. I just had ribeye about an hour ago, and they say the same thing with regards to letting it sit out for at least half an hour. The best steaks come when you let it sit out for a little bit before throwing it in the grill.
Yeah, it's probably the most important thing that many people forget, because they get it out of the fridge and then start cooking, and it's just a waste. And one of the other things as well is don't throw butter or oil in the pan. Just coat the entire ribeye with oil, and then pepper salt it on both sides, and then put it in the pan, which creates a lot less smoke, because the smoke comes from the oil next to the pan, and then you just burn everything. So it's a better way to control the temperature as well.
Oh, steaks.
Yeah, good point. Actually, I don't know if you have it in Amsterdam, but we have what we call a George Foreman grill here, which gets really hot. So if you want to sear it on both sides right away to keep that moisture into the meat, it's a useful tool to grill it if you don't want to go start up the grill and wait for the fire to get up.
Yeah,
George
or a good iron skillet. That's great as well.
Yeah, that's what I do with fish. And to put some onions with steak with it, I'll use a skillet. But yeah,
right.
If I could make a suggestion, I understand you don't want to cook it in butter or any oil, but you want to finish it. Once it's hot, pull it out, put some salted butter on it, and you need nothing else.
No, that's a great suggestion too.
Incredible.
I was about to ask you guys, what is the most important part of the barbecue?
The most important part of the barbecue is that you enjoy yourself.
The beer?
Yeah, of course that's the one. But after that, I will say it's the barbecue. What is it called? Barbecue sauce.
No, you just finish with butter. Butter is all you need. Maybe a little smoke.
Javier, if I may add to the salted butter, try a little bit of a lemon or a lime with the salted butter.
I'll try that next time.
So I do a steak completely different than that. My favorite steak is put it into a baking pan and you put the oven on to broil. You then lay your steak out on the pan, oiled, of course, with olive oil, and then just butter and Worcestershire sauce, and throw that and put it on broil. Take it out, flip it over, put it back in. Yeah, that's the best steak I've ever had.
You gotta let it sit out before you cook it. You have to let it room temperature. It's the most important thing for a steak.
Yeah, we just said that.
Throw a little bit of, if you're going to do it right. Now, I'm a Texas guy, so lump coal and throw a little hickory in there. Hickory being pecan or something like that, just to get a little smoke taste. But that's a Texas thing or a southern thing.
What part of Texas you from, Javier?
Well, I lived in Dallas most of my life. Right now I'm in Florida. I like the South of the United States.
Yeah, I'm in Houston right now. Just curious.
Yeah, I've been in Dallas, but not too far away, my brother.
But Dave, I want to eat your steak one day, and I'll cook you my ribeye.
That didn't quite sound right, but okay.
Yeah, that's wow! I didn't know it was a show.
We'll smoke a cigar with it as well. I don't care. And then we'll go through some legislation between the EU and the US.
Yeah, maybe Dave will have a cigar after it. I don't know what the hell.
You gotta excuse steak. He's from Amsterdam. They're very sexually open over there. So.
Yeah.
My brothers, I'm going to tell you, if y'all ever have a chance, and I don't know that, but you go to Argentina, and they have the best meat in the world. Absolutely, bar none. One of the most incredible. And they know what the hell they're doing with their meat. So if y'all ever have that privilege,
in a non-sexual manner, right?
yes, just they.
Just
Yeah, y'all be careful with those gauchos because those tight pants. But it's actually.
Would you like to elaborate a little further on that, Javier?
No, I've heard about that, but. I don't know, maybe I drank too much. No, I'm just joking, but it's, I have heard from plenty of places, they call it the agujas off the spine. It would be the withers, some of the best cuts that they do, and I do know a little bit about meat. I eat quite a bit.
Yeah, I like it. So that's how we all like our steak, I guess. But there's so many ways that you can do it all fancy-pantsy, but I just like to just keep it a little bit simple. Lady K,
go ahead.
No, you can ask her if she's here.
Lady K, are you here?
Yep.
I got a quick question for you. What state are you from?
Ohio.
What are you seeing now in the real estate sector? I mean, I'm always curious from a front end perspective because you mentioned you're an agent, right?
Yeah, I'm a broker. So right now, pricing is coming down. Rents are stabilizing. They increased dramatically during COVID. And that's what's happening right now. But I don't know, I have that feeling like with everyone else that the market will end up crashing.
Oh, so you are feeling it too already there. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know the selling pressure has started. I just don't, I'm not in real estate, so I don't know.
I can tell you the same thing is happening in the Netherlands since half of August, and I was speaking to, I think it was Colin today that said that, are you there? That in Ireland things have been tightening up as well. I think all over Europe, at least, the real estate market, equity market is slowing down massively.
Yeah, definitely slowing down.
Yeah, also in the state of Louisiana, 8 property and casualty companies have now folded, and premiums have doubled.
You blame that on the interest?
Dave, thank you.
Blame it on. Oh, sorry.
Thank you for sharing that. Can you elaborate on it? Because I think this is the little push I need to spend everything in crypto.
Well, yeah, my mother is vice president of Rosenthal Property and Casualty, the largest in the Southeast. And, you know, like I said, 8 different property and casualty companies have now closed doors, folded, and premiums have doubled on people's insurance. So,
Why is that? What's the correlation with that in the housing market?
Well, it's a combination of things. In Louisiana, it's due to the hurricanes, for one, but also with, I would say, the inflation and the cost of goods, so like lumber, drywall, whatever.
So what happens if the inflation increases another 10% next year?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know, Lady K, this is interesting for you as well, but at least also for Dave, that the interest rates that the ECB raised since September, and they're going to raise it every 6 months in the EU, that only a quarter of that raise is going to go through initially, and the other 3/4 of that raise is happening by the 1st of January next year. So it isn't even priced in yet for this year.
Wow. Well, the town next to me just had a flash flood. And I had 3 properties flood. And the tenants told me that they saw the city blocking the sewer, like things. So I sent my husband out there to take photos, and sure as shit, they blocked the sewer drains with these like block things that like almost like sandbag type.
Why did they do that?
That's a good question, right? So I guess somebody said that the city said that the openings were, it wasn't like enough for the water, so they had to do it, or I don't know, they like tried switching it around like it was going to be helpful.
I'll tell you what happened in Houston during the hurricane. I wasn't here at the time, but one of the main concerns were to save a significant portion of the properties that were in the high-end area where the insurance of those were considerably higher in order to collect if those houses were damaged. So what they did was actually purposely do something like that so that the poor areas got the significant amount of the water, and it allowed these insurance companies to save billions doing that.
Fucking hell.
So people's casualty insurance
Wait.
being canceled, I would just be nervous about something happening in those areas.
Dave, is private prisons, are they tradable on stocks too?
I don't know. I'm not in equities at all right now. PE ratios don't make a lick of sense.
Yeah, but like private prisons are going to be in mass demand if everything's going to go
right.
to
But
the wire,
I mean,
right?
most of the hip hop artists own the prisons, so it's like I don't know if they're public or not to purchase. But yeah, a lot of the rap stars and whatnot, they're the ones who own the prisons.
Yeah, wasn't it Michael Burry who actually sold all his equities except for the publicly traded prison management equities?
Really?
It was the only one that he kept out of all the equities.
I thought I was smart.
No, Burry's doing the same thing. He kept the largest or second largest publicly traded stock for management of these prisons.
Burry is so cryptic though on Twitter, but he's way ahead of us.
No, they're not hiding anything anymore. It's the blatant BS that is being seen here in the United States. I mean, I don't know how anybody is starting to miss what's going on, because right now I know that we have property in South Padre Island in the very tip of Texas, and they cover you for flood, but they don't cover you for hurricane, or they cover you for hurricane, but if it's not, the flood isn't included, and there's so much bullshit that's going on right now that it's almost not worth having the insurance for what they're paying.
The flood and the tornado and the hurricane or what have you not, I mean, that's just, sorry to say it, but that's like general business every year, right? Over there. I mean, sometimes worse than the other.
Really,
but the inflation is what makes it even worse.
Yeah, right now it's just that it's really for them to have an escape. And I've seen the fraud go on, and I have a sister that's husband is in trucking, and she tried to get full coverage on a trailer. I was actually there when she was talking to the insurance company, and then they had a problem with the trailer, and they said, no, you didn't have full coverage. That's why that deal was so good. And so there's just so much double talk, and they know that you as an independent person can't fight the insurance companies right now. It's a joke.
Dave, Reggie Middleton said that this distributed ledger technology also is beneficiary, or at least, no, it's not beneficiary. It's actually going to keep banks and logistics out of business for a large part. On the logistics point of view, if everyone has the same sort of infrastructure to do business on, because the old business models are no longer working anymore, and he saw, I think he saw, was it a dip in logistics, or did he saw a big market in it? Can you recall that part of the interview?
I don't recall.
Because I was wondering if like logistics is going to slow down massively. Wouldn't that solve the energy, but also the environmental problem as well?
I remember him speaking of it, but I can't recall.
And if I may, I put this in a DM, but the last 10 minutes, yeah, you should cut it.
Why is that? Just for when they end the call to when they thought they were off air?
Yeah, because the one thing that little lady said, with what they could probably look into, I don't think that we're going to need to make the commercial banks wiser than that they already are. But maybe they were listening in on the interview as well. Who knows?
Yeah, but don't they also infringe all the banks?
Well, I think what Reggie is doing is that if he takes over this seat at the table for them, then he has to throw them a bone, right? And he was talking about gold and silver-backed stable coins, which I think is brilliant, and it would throw them a bone. So I think that's going to be his saving grace, so to speak. I don't know if gold or silver necessarily will become more expensive because of it, but it is a way out for the banks to make a decent chunk of money.
Well, to stay in the game, I think, because right now,
yeah, he's basically giving them the stable coins of the market. That's basically what he did.
It's yeah. That's what was kind of weird. I've talked to Dave privately on it too, and we kind of throw it back and forth and trying to figure out, because we're not in the know. I mean, there's people that speak to him, and we're just followers, and he speaks kind of in tongues to where I understand he's been in a lot of litigations, but we're trying to, be one step ahead of the game, and it's hard to understand what direction he's going into. First of all, with his old vocabulary. Second of all, just him protecting himself not to get into it anymore.
Oh, he's weighing his words for sure. I can follow him just fine, to be very honest, especially if he just gives us a little peek behind the curtains. Occasionally he slips up something, and that's the interesting bit for me, breadcrumbs. But I was interesting to hear that he went to the court case for Ripple. I think that's pretty brilliant. And the European Union doesn't have a stable coin, the euro, and they're looking into it. So this could be interesting to watch as well. I don't know if Reggie is very much into the whole European Mica, European Wallet, European Web3 infrastructure. Is he? Does he have that on his?
I don't know, but he's all over the world, and he's got his pulse on. I put it this way, Steak. He's one of the few people that have had these spaces and have left it open to anybody to ask any question as long as you're polite. And you can ask him anything, and he doesn't always answer it, but he's up for that question, and so he's as transparent as I've ever seen anybody else. More transparent than I've ever seen anybody else in this whole crypto market when he does speak. And there's been a lot of lawyers in there that have kind of asked him, and they kind of seem to follow him now. I don't know. That's just my point of view of my observation.
People are starting to wake up, and that's because the market is maturing. And big institutional buyers that are coming in, they're looking at it from an IP point of view, doing their actual proper due diligence, and they're like, wait, who owns what? And oh wow, the market hasn't matured yet. And they don't know what the legislation is going to be. They don't know how to track the market because they don't understand it as well as Reggie does. So they look at things from variables and algorithms, but they can't necessarily interpret the data that they see as well as someone that's been in blockchain for so long. They don't know what they're looking at 9 out of 10 times.
Well, that's the same issue I have with my attorneys. I have 2 of my attorneys go to review his patent, to give me further guidance, and I waited 2-3 weeks before basically hearing back that it was over their head. So I went directly to Reggie to ask for permission. And being that it's a 501c3 to benefit the disabled, I was told he has no issue with what I want to do, but he would like to speak with me further about it. But also I had asked about Digibyte, and he said he's not even looking at Digibyte. So it's not even on his radar.
And can you ask him if Threefold is on his radar? Next time you speak to him.
Yeah, I would like to, but every time I ask very specific questions in an open forum, he just dances around it, doesn't answer the question directly, which I understand legally.
Let's ask him another question then. Is he familiar with the sovereign work that Thierry Breton from the European Commission is doing?
I don't know.
That's enough.
It's like I think he's just more focused on the USA.
Who is this Thierry Breton?
Oh, he's the head honcho from the European Commission.
Now, question, I'm seeing here, I'm looking up the US or the patents in crypto, and this is showing that Barclays in the UK is filing patents. So, do you know anything of that?
Well, the UK is no longer part of the European Union.
That's right. Brexit.
The UK wants to make London the most crypto-friendly place in the world to do your business. And I think they have a very good chance of success based on the current infrastructure in London, the language, and that it's in between the US and the European Union. So,
and the US is destroying their golden opportunities and making it more and more difficult to where we can't even in other words, our people are leaving because we have no clarity on our regulations due to them trying to make more money, I guess, on the people that are left.
I don't know. I still think the US has a lot more to offer.
Well, that was exactly.
The petrodollar is everywhere. They got their finger in everything. So I can't see them giving up power without the number one seat at the table.
I don't know. I'm seeing things. I I would have agreed with you maybe a year ago, but right now
Don't look at the politics that you see on TV. Don't look at the politicians, but look at the tandem in which it's going. Like, for example, on the guy that you should pay attention to in the U.S., and I don't hear about him too often enough, is Mark Werner. Do you know him?
No, but I would figure he has to do with corporate, because I think corporate is what's controlling it. It controlled the last Bitcoin convention in Miami. I mean, it was everything we were against in Bitcoin.
Mark Warner is an American politician of the Democratic Party. He's the senator for Virginia since 2009, and he used to be the governor between 2002 and 2006 of the same state. He's 67 years old, and look at he's the one negotiating with the European Union, with Thierry Breton, for all the U.S. infrastructure. So this is the guy on the U.S. soil that's the number one in charge of the whole entire infrastructure for digitalizing the U.S. And if you look at his resume, don't worry, this guy gets it.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that they're able to do that as a governor, to go in, I mean, with the approval of the United States, with the approval of our government, or how's that working? You just can't go over and start talking to somebody wheeling and dealing. I don't know, or maybe you can. Maybe things have changed that much that they can start wheeling and dealing without Congress or without anybody else giving us any kind of approval. I mean, I find that hard to understand.
To Mark Werner, he's very much into both finance and cybersecurity, and those are the two fields that are at play right now.
It doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me that some people have privies, which at one time would have been definitely had approval from the rest of our governments. Right now, everybody's making wheels and deals. And maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. My thing is, why do we hear it from someone from another country and we're not aware of it? And I'm someone that try to keep my pulse on what's going on in names and things of importance. And that's new to us. But, you know, the game is played, and I just want to know there's a game going on. I just want to know what sport to dress up for before I get to the field.
Well, look at this guy, Mark Werner, what he did, Warner, and try to follow him then. I wonder what he's doing in the U.S. He's really under the radar, but occasionally he's in interviews with the people in the EU at the exact top. I would have expected Biden himself on that chair, but it was Mark Werner. So, yeah, I wonder what he'll do in the U.S.
Interesting. Like I said, I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying interesting that we've got rogue players that we're not privy, or we haven't been in. There's a bunch of us, and that's the first time I've heard that name.
He's the type of politician that knows his shit. So if you listen to him from a technical and intelligence point of view and financial point of view, you hear a very eloquent, intelligent man that's very much in the entire agenda and gets it. He gets it. But on the other hand, you don't see him in the U.S. anywhere near any public speaking figure, whereas he could do that brilliantly. If I look at that, I'm seeing your president in the next 48 years. That's the type of person I see there. But
and here's my opinion on our president. I mean, we have a great governor, DeSantis, here in Florida, which most people would love to have him as president, but I don't. The reason this man's got power is because as a governor, he's able to override the ruling of the president when they say you need to wear a mask, and he goes, no, you don't, because I'm the governor, and he's got more power in this state. If he goes to Washington, then he's got to go through the same somebody else, and they can't make that decision, and so he loses his power. Though he's an incredible governor and has done a lot for our state, putting him in the White House would be a waste of time because it would be tied up in the same politics that all the other presidents get tied up in and can't make decisions. Our politics is too big.
But I wonder if you could follow him and see if you could find some shit about him in the news. And I think he's going to be very connected to the CHIPS Act and telecommunications, that sort of stuff. He's probably going to be very much into those topics, I guess.
Well, thank goodness for Spaces, because most of I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV in 7 years. I don't watch news. And since I've been in this has been my information and how we've changed from 17. I've been in it before. I was listening. I actually bought in at 17, but how things are changing and how we are being manipulated. You know, as a Miami conference, it was basically a corporate takeover. What we were totally against in Bitcoin. But you know what? I'm just here to play the game, and I just want to know what game we're playing so I can give it my best effort.
You want to get my view on what game we're playing? We're playing a geopolitical game of leverage between big companies and big politicians, and the only rules that they create for society is just that they don't have to deal with it that much. They just want to get on with their geopolitical shit.
If that's true, I feel corporate will win.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys are chills.
It's the same shit. They all went to the same schools. It's the same friends groups.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's no, yeah, someone goes into politics, the other goes in finance, the other goes in accounting, that one goes in engineering, that one goes into cybersecurity, or whatever. And it's
I agree.
It's just the same club of people that know each other for a very long time.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen it with some of our biggest companies, Halliburton and everything else. They just switch them in and out.
That's what they call the deep state, right? I guess it's just friends knowing each other for a very long time.
Well, and Javier, you said Florida. Are you familiar with anyone in the House of Representatives from Florida? Because
he's also from Florida.
Because
I've just been overwhelmed by the Senate. I haven't got over him. But,
well, because I've been speaking with Darren Aquino of Florida House of Representatives. He has a 501c3 for the disabled, and as far as for me bringing legislation before the House in Congress, you know, that was going to be my route. So I've been speaking with him a little bit as far as implementing other laws for the disabled to open up other things. So a few ideas that I have that I would like to see done. So that's what I'm working for and working towards. And then if I then have legislation behind what it is I want to do with a 501c3 for the disabled, you know, that's why I was just curious if you knew of this man.
That's the point when you got the legislation point. That's the point where you call Jon Stewart for an interview.
Yeah, and truly, Dave, I could possibly say that you are my hero. My God, what you do and what you get yourself into and how deep you get into it, you go in full force, and that is to be commended and respected, and nobody should be complaining about any kind of situation there is to see this man work as hard as he does in anything that he gets, in any endeavor that he gets into. It's absolutely impressive. So kudos to you, Dave. I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you. I mean, for me, it's just making good use of time. I mean, I've got a lot going on, you know, but at the same time, there are other things I wish to do in the future, which is why, you know, like in my spare time, I also just wrote history for the disabled within the last few days. So
Yeah,
it's like from this, and then and speaking with this representative from Florida to possibly bring a bill forward. So yeah. So, and I do that in my spare time. As well as watch crypto, as well as dive into different things, as well as fixing up a duplex. So, yeah.
Duplex, have you guys been welding a duplex steel before? That is exciting. Weld duplex steel.
I haven't, no.
I haven't either. I think he's talking about a duplex. We call those houses one house with two different living quarters or houses within one. No problem, but interesting. I'd like to know about that in the welding. I know a little bit about it, but not enough to understand much. But there's, like I said, worlds of information, and thanks that we have people like yourselves that are, at least putting it out for us, and it's our due diligence to go in and do our due diligence and dig in as deep as you want that name. I will go in and I will research, see what I could find out, and not to second guess you, but to really find out for myself, because, knowledge is going to be the power in this next whatever the heck you call whatever we're getting into.
Dave, one question about that bill. When could we see that? Like next year?
I'm not certain. I can't say anything on that. So I mean, this is still just within discussion at the moment.
You're going mighty fast, man. That's insane. That's great.
This man formed a 501c3, so if anything, he can give me further guidance. And then for what it is I want to achieve and the other things that I have not stated here that I want to achieve for the disabled, I would like to get those things changed as well. So, just a good, I don't want to say a stepping stone, but a good contact and further guidance and possibly further legislation on a bill in the House to hopefully reach the Senate.
You've been mighty busy, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Going to be interesting to see how it falls out. I'll be looking at least. I'll be following every single step and see if I can do some positive things on the other side of the pond as well. One thing I was wondering with the entire disabled and veterans bill that Darren Aquino, or not bill, but 501c3 that he created for predominantly disabled veterans.
Correct.
You could look into Jon Stewart, who also interviewed the SEC Gary Gensler for the GameStop thing. He's very much aware of the entire manipulation, but also of the crypto market. And he's a very eloquent and great spokesman for the 9/11 veterans. And he's still trying to get justice for that. That would be a very insane contact if you'd ever have to blow up the, the PR.
I have never asked you this before, but where in the Netherlands are you living? Is it close to, maybe I asked before, but is it close to Amsterdam?
Yeah, I live 30 minutes north of Amsterdam.
So what is it called there? Do you just call it like Amsterdam then?
No, not at all. No, but it's just a small city village that most people haven't heard of, which I can't blame them for.
Do you have coffee shops there as well?
Oh, probably, yeah. We got them everywhere.
Nice. I love Amsterdam. I've been there once. Have you ever been to Sensation White, the event in Amsterdam? Or have you ever heard about it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of dance events there. Many of the DJs in the world, in the top 10, I think, are all Dutch. So there's a very big scene for that. Yeah, that's true. But Amsterdam is not really representative of the Netherlands itself. I mean, it's a big city, but it's very different than the rest of the Netherlands.
Hey, Blind Dave, we're going to have to go to Amsterdam one day.
That's been on my to-do list since 1995.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you're ever going there, let me know.
Well, I'm crazy enough to go along with him. The hell with him. He's there. So
that's fine. That's fine. And you can blur me on the videos.
We'll just put your avatar up for that.
Well, maybe after the legislation, I can put my own name out there, but it depends. For now, yeah, if you ever go to Amsterdam, I know where you can go and what's fun.
My stepbrother used to go there. My stepbrother used to DJ here in New Orleans, and he went to Amsterdam, and the techno, trance, and house is just it was just awesome back then. So yeah, I've always wanted to go.
Yeah, it's still very much the scene is still there. So yeah, not a problem at all. Yeah.
Well, Steak will let you know, and you'll find us. You'll see a guy with a stick and a other idiot with a big cowboy hat. That'll be us.
Yeah,
you can either come and say something to us or avoid us.
Yeah, and I can cook you some steaks.
Yeah, whenever you see the blind dude out on the dance floor, you know who I am. So.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll have fun. Amsterdam is very relaxed city to be in around it. It's very laid back, very comfortable, very safe. You'll have fun.
Have you ever been in these cat channels, is it actually called, where you like use the stick with the boat in the bottom? Are they doing that with this long stick in the bottom?
Oh, you mean like in Venice?
Yeah, in the channels, or do we have motorboats?
No, we're not Italians. We got motorboats.
Is it in China also, I think?
Yeah, that doesn't really go well with the weather generally in the Netherlands. No, we used to have a lot of sailing boats, but nowadays it's just all, you can get tours around the canals and whatnot. And, nothing like that. I don't know what the English name for it is. Like a gondola or something like that. Let me look that up.
Did you say a gondola?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we have a gondola here in New Orleans. It goes over the Mississippi River.
Exactly, yeah. We don't do that here in the Netherlands. It's not the weather for it.
I do that. It's a cool technique. I wish I could do that.
Yeah, same here. I pinned a funny tweet from Death Ranger at the top, by the way, about Gary Gensler, but maybe not for everyone. Crack me up at least.
Is that the one with where he's got the cigar and a bottle of bourbon sitting out there?
No, I think they got Lady Gaga and then changed the head into Gary Gensler. It was just it was a reply by someone like, all right, so XRP has come alive. It must have heard my speech on Spaces last night. And then probably this, and then you see that. It's well done. But yeah, we're going to have to see what Gensler is going to do. And there's just so much happening in this week, next 2 weeks. It's just exciting time, man. I can't wait for the bottom at the short time to come and actually buy up, and then I'll probably have to wait a few years, but that's okay, and creep upwards. That's the way I look at it. but at least I'll be at the beginning, at the proper dip of this cycle. That's what it feels like for me. I don't think we're going to have a much bigger dip than this. Everything is in here geopolitically.
I hope it's the dip at least, just like you, Stakes. So
I think it's going to be the dip of all dips that we're going to get. Actually, I think it's actually going to be the biggest dip of all the cycles in crypto.
big short.
No, not like that.
Let me ask you this, State. The last time in 17 we had a big dip. They closed exchanges. They were down for services. Do you think something like that could happen again?
Yeah.
Is that for them and not for us?
That's always what happens, right? In the same hour, suddenly all the free exchanges have difficulties, and they all have a different reason, but they're all closed at the same time. Yeah, that's just straight out of the playbook, unfortunately.
That's why I leave my limit buy orders sit on the exchange at those ridiculous low prices.
Yeah, smart move.
Just in the instance of a flash crash, because it's been proven many times where, someone picked up Ethereum for $11, or someone picked up Bitcoin at $1,000. And so, yeah, I've got limit buy orders on Bitcoin right now at 13,000. And I've got a limit buy order on Theta at 59 cents right now.
Yeah, we should go into those buy orders at some point. I'd love to know where you...
Well, that's what, getting back to Veritasium and Reggie Middleton, the next buy order on the books is at $50. It's like, it's not $20 like what CoinMarketCap shows.
For what asset?
Veri, V-E-R-I, Veritasium, on Mercantox, but you can also get it on Fork Delta. So Fork Delta is when they forked Ether Delta. Ether Delta had sold and they just forked the software.
But it's like, Veritasium is a crypto?
Yeah.
Yes. They got confiscated. There was 100 million, and the FCC confiscated 98 million, all of Reggie's. And so there is no use case for Veritasium. But he, because of the loyal followers he had, is looking to give value. Because right now you're buying a valueless coin. There is no value to it because the FCC has not ruled one way or another, even after the fines.
Well,
it's tied up in limbo.
To add on to that, actually, yes, there is a use case for the Veri token in that it will be a discount in order to use the patent of...
That's what he plans on, yeah. But there is, in other words, you can't use it right now for that.
But how low do you think it will go?
I don't think you're going to get any lower.
Yeah.
Right now, it's kind of like silver, where silver is at 17, but you're buying it at 35. That's the same with Veri.
Yeah, it's at 2 cents, right? But it used to be at like 55 back in what? What was the date?
Rotasio hit $500 at one point.
Yeah.
500?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the ICO was at The ICO was at $2, $4, and $6. I bought it right after the ICO, and then I bought a lot more holding a Veri during the crash of 2018 and 19 when no one was looking at Veri. I picked up a few at $2 and $3.
So if we're giving any value to Veri, Bitcoin is at 21 million. He will only accept the Veri that was bought before, and those 98 he says he wants nothing to do with. So now there's only 2 million Veri. What's the value of Veri?
It's now 9.6, right? 9.96. Oh, that's in euros. Sorry. Let's do that in dollars.
I think it touched like $40 today. So it was 20.
They did. They moved the market. I think it was 40%, and there was only 350 bought. And it was a market. But the people that are holding Berry have been holding it for a long time, and so there's very few people selling potassium because we are people that believe in what Reggie's doing, whether he succeeds or not. There is no guarantee.
But is it possible to buy a few of them?
Yes, difficult but possible.
Yeah, it takes a while to get it off of the exchange on Mercantox.
And
I'm gonna. Yeah, sorry, Javier. I'm gonna look into this at some point and probably ask a few questions about this, Dave and Javier, on how.
Dave is the right person. Yeah, Dave is the right person to ask. I've dealt with Fork Delta. I haven't dealt with it in a long time, but it's hard to get right now, and you don't want to go to some of the other exchanges because they don't let you out. The other thing is that if you get more than 50 as a Dave, you can't, you can only pull 50 out at a time. There's no liquidity to it. There's very few people are selling, and you will be paid 50, but you're not going to be paying to $20. Heck, if you could get it at $20, let me know because I'm interested in buying. I mean, you know,
I don't even. I think it's massively undervalued, and yes, even for that price, it's bound to pump because there is meat on the bones of the of the patent. So one way or another, it's going massively over what it is now.
Well, it's already doubled in the last week.
To understand it, this was it went up to 500 within months. I mean, there were people that bought houses here that we know, Dave and I know, bought their house completely off of Very, and they sold it $6 or $7 or $10 because they had made that much money on it. But understanding that was back when there was 100,000 Very. Now there's 2 million, and it rose up to 500,000 because of what it did, and it's already gone into. It's basically a residual income. It's almost a form of rent. So you don't lose your coins. It's the tech that we're going into. It's not.
Right. So in the future, let's say if you form the next Apple, whatever, and Apple wants to use the patents, you then need to go to the Very token holders in order to have access or a discount for it to use that patent.
Exactly.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, you don't lose it.
It's exactly. Cha-ching. It's really. It's a no-brainer, but the same way you look at it like this, I know it's something different, but I look at it the same way at LCX right now. In my opinion, still very undervalued.
Right,
I'm
and
going to look into that. And I think the other two that you mentioned, Dragon Coin, and I think Library, I think those are, I'm not in yet, but I think they're undervalued.
With Library, it's already pumping 20%. The court case is happening next week, so.
Yeah, everything's so suppressed right now. I believe the quantity. I know in Library, in one of them it was 600 million, and the other one was 300 million. And I don't know which it was, Dragon Coin or Library. But just that alone lets me know how valuable that coin is. And what did you say the price was? Yeah, I looked at it and it was a joke. It's under 2 cents. So for us, you know, that's where you throw mud at the wall. Put it this way: this is what they say. Millionaires are made when there's blood on the streets, and I think there's blood on the streets right now. So
I still think that I think it's remarkable that Reggie didn't care about Digibyte. Whether that's something that he dismisses it or just isn't looking into it.
No, he has looked into it because I was asking him specifically on a few aspects of DigiByte in order to use the DigiID as well as the DigiPassword, but through the use of an NFT as the claim check. So, being that I want to use the NFT as a claim check, that part there does infringe upon his patent. So that's why I wanted to ask him specifically and why he wants to talk.
Yeah, and when you talk to him, ask about doing the same thing in Europe.
Well, I think I mean, he's looked into it. He's all over Africa. He's all over. I know that he's got the Japan patent, and I know China's also looking into the patent, and they're very strong on keeping their information. So, you know, he's probably, if Dave's the hardest worker, then he's the second hardest worker. But I'll even go as far as to say that man has been, I don't know, trying to, I guess, clear his name, and rightfully so, from what I see.
He's very driven. He's on a mission.
He's on a mission, and you know, my respects to him, because he didn't have to bring us along for the ride, but he has, and you know.
Well, I don't, you know, the way I see it, I don't mind buying a few vary. You know, maybe it is going to bump like 20 or 30x, but there are a few more projects that I think are going to go insane, regardless of just like meme coins and how the market pumps. Like, I think that's going to go and die away. I think people are really going to, like what Reggie said, people are really going to have to do their due diligence going forward.
Yes. Do you know a guy named Cliff High?
Only by name. I've heard it mentioned before somewhere. I don't know where, but I don't know.
Well, back when I first started, that man would call Bitcoin at 222 and then at 630. I mean, to the date, to the number. He had some kind of web bot, and maybe Blind Dave can explain more. But he was so accurate that that's how I got in. I was like, God, I mean, he hit it on the nose every time, and it was working. And at one time he said, this is all before the FCC, that Very would go 1-to-1 with Bitcoin, and United States government would come basically clawing to Reggie and wanting to implement his technique. Take that for a grain of salt from a guy that I respect because of his accuracy before, and he kind of got away from it because of I guess he got too much crap or too much.
Well, yeah, Cliff High was the genius behind Microsoft back in the 90s. And he wrote computer software and in order to determine different markets, mainly for equities. But what he found by developing that software is that he calls it predictive linguistics, in that the different words that people choose have different meanings in an algorithm. And in order to, I mean, his software has been proven so many times. Some things just, the timing is off a little bit, whatnot, okay, you know, whatever, fine. But still, to come to the same result is just like phenomenal. So, yeah, I used to listen to Cliff High for years. I remember him back in '97 on CNBC talking about $600 silver back then and $20,000 Dow. He was laughed off the stage, you know, and where's the Dow today? So, but not just, much more than that. So it's like even predicting like 9/11 and different things like that he found in his software. So, and different world events even. So, you know, then he found different things on different crypto. And when Veritasium hit like $450, he said, this is not even a drop in the pan. He said, this is just crazy. And he explained, he went further that his data showed that it went 1-to-1 with Bitcoin. So, per Veritasium. So it's like, okay, I'll take a little, I'll throw a little mud at that wall for sure.
So what's the
well, his software. His software showed that the United States government was going to seek his software to help with other markets. Basically, think of the tokenization of financial assets. Well, what is all being discussed and done right now from a CBDC to other commodities and other things with other exchanges? And then the Veritasium token was actually working in the Jamaican Stock Exchange to run the Jamaican Stock Exchange. So, but the SEC shut him down, went after him, all of this kind of stuff, and here we are today. And now he's stepping in on the SEC versus XRP, or the DAO is rather. I'm not 100% either which way, but whether it's the DAO or Reggie himself, but you know they're stepping in.
Here's my thing, Dave. Like, and this is mind-boggling to me, and maybe I'm wrong. That could be the easiest explanation. But many of these people look from a math point of view and the numbers, and I respect that. But like, they can't shut their eyes for the fact that the EU and the US are looking for a means to incorporate their own financial markets more and more together. I mean, they should be aware of the transatlantic trade agreement.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. And that's not necessarily math, but what's in there, what's going to be signed off on, is going to be a set of rules that others have to comply with. And it doesn't have to make sense from a math point of view. It's just what they negotiated.
But they have to go by the IPs and the patents, because if we don't follow one patent, we don't follow any patents, and it will be forced into the patent. If this is a patent...
Well, that depends entirely on what they're going to use.
I'm pretty sure, and I don't know. By the way, thank you, Dave, for explaining everything you do, for me poking the bear and getting you started, because... without you, I'd look like a freaking idiot. I know I can't explain.
You're not an idiot. You're not an idiot, Javier.
No, you're very. You know what? Dave's got that knowledge, and sometimes even in that recording we did that day, I'd poke him, and he's a world of knowledge like you, Steak. Y'all are both. Y'all represent yourselves well, and y'all explain it well. But sometimes I like to get. That's why I ask the questions. I want to get down to the bottom and find out, man, is this guy for real? Is it not? And I think he's for real. Like I said, anybody here, do your own due diligence and figure out if it's something, hey, I don't know, if it goes 1-to-1 with, it's like buying, if what I said is right, it's like buying Bitcoin at $20 or $50, whatever it is. Is it worth that risk? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe this is crazy, but there are opportunities every day. And my gosh, even in this conversation that we're just we didn't plan it or anything. Just imagine just a little bit of interest. If 300 tokens that were sold, I think today moved the market 40%. There's no coins. There's no coins. Follow how many people have Veri and what's considered a shark and a whale and a humpback whale. It's interesting.
Hey Dave, is it your Lambo on the picture there?
No, I can't drive. That was a friend of mine's Lamborghini. He was in the Apollo blockchain. But that was years ago. That was, but no, that's not mine.
It was a cool car, anyways, Dave.
Yeah, it was fast.
Cool car anyway.
It was fast.
I bet Lambos are fast. Have you been sitting in a L car before? That is momentum from.
Where are you from, Wolf?
Can you guess where I'm from? One guess.
I'm terrible. You're not from Texas, that's for sure.
Oh no, I'm not from Texas.
No, I heck,
Holland?
I just sound like Colin. I don't know. I'm terrible. I don't know any of the accents from overseas.
Oh, I'm from New York.
Hey,
I'm born and
closer to
raised.
Texas than I thought.
Oh, I'm from Norway actually.
All right, yeah. Well, no, it's interesting. Like I said, to hear perspectives from different people from different parts of the country.
Yeah, same goes to you guys.
Talk about whales and sharks. I'm a cousin.
Yeah, hey, but you know what? I've often heard, I talked to Blind Dave about this last night, you know, if they said at one point that if you own 0.28 of a Bitcoin, in the future you are going to be one of the top wealthiest people. Well, if Bertosium does well, all you have to own is 0.0. I don't know. What did you say, Dave? 0.028?
Yeah, because I was looking at the circulating supply, but just figured 21 million Bitcoin ever, and then only 2 million Veri are out there. So it's like, you know, so that's a factor of 10. So just take that 0.28 Bitcoin to be considered of 1% of the, you know, of wealth, then just figure 0.028 of Veri. But I mean, how many of us hold 100, 200, 1,000, 5,000 Veri? You know, not many. So.
And there are some whales in this game, and somebody had talked about it. You can actually look it up. I don't know how, but you can actually go in and find out through Etherscan, I don't know, and you could find out the people that are holding, and you'll see some 100,000, but then you get in to some of the biggest people. Once it gets into the normal stage, is I think a humpback whale is over 1,000, and 1,000 is considered a whale, and so 100 you're a shark. And I mean, they broke it all the way down, but so being up against bad. I mean,
well, you know, I don't necessarily plan on spending 10,000 euros or more on Veritasium. But it is interesting to see if I'm going to spend 1,000 on it, or maybe 2,000.
well, understand that the value comes from the tech and comes from the residual. You won't sell. I mean, you're talking about generational wealth. You will now.
Well, I'm looking at it more from a legal perspective, and just because you have a good patent doesn't mean that you're gonna win. That's the whole Graham Bell argument that they had, but also like that some startups need a good team and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't doubt Reggie Miller's qualities, but he is playing a game with the competition that he has is like the most. He's toe to toe with like the complete legacy system.
Yeah,
that's what he's toe to toe with, and that's a pretty big opponent because there's not anything bigger than that. So
yeah, and
he's
funny,
probably not going to win everything.
The funny thing is, he just called that the low hanging fruit. That's the way he referred to them.
Exactly.
Really?
Call it low hanging.
What? That's the low hanging fruit.
That's what he said. Yeah, that's what the man said.
Because he's got a patent on that. I mean, people have to, you know, Bank of America's got a few patents themselves, so if they're not going to follow his patents, and put it this way, Steak, you know as well as I, these companies do their homework. They have lawyers and they have people that when they invest in anything that you invest in, there are people that go out and look to see if they're infringing. Go see who's acknowledged Reggie's patent already. IBM, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Visa or MasterCard, and so you're going to be surprised that they are already quoting his patent, and these aren't just little companies. These are Civic is one of them. Trying to remember off the top of my head, but the banking systems are noting his patents for whatever patents they're doing.
Could that mean that Greg Wright is like a shill for commercial banking? Or does that make too much sense?
I don't know if those patents, but I know that Reggie, I don't think it can, I'm not really sure. He didn't elaborate, but he did mention that he has patents with meat on the bones. So I don't know I have a few BSV just for that reason. I'm a person that is trying to hedge myself into a winning team. And I realize I'm going to take a lot of losses, but hell, as Dave and I have both realized.
No, Javier, you won't. You're not taking a lot of losses. You're talking about superb growth or like amazing growth.
Yeah.
And regardless, you're doing the right things.
Yeah, we've had life changing with we basically, Dave and I, without knowing each other, are in a lot of the same coins because we jumped in at the same time. And, Theta was a big changer for us. And, some of the other ones, Dave capitalized on a few more than I did. I'm just playing the hold game because I got nothing better to do. I'm an old fart.
Well, here's my take. Here's my
really good point on the BOA having patents. Bank of America right now holds over 200 patents on XRPL, and I know several of them they refused. When I brought it up to a couple years ago when I was in BOA for work with BOA, I brought it up to their financial advisor, and he did some research, and they were originally prohibited from. After signing a contract, BOA brought everybody that was employed by BOA a contract, and it stated that you cannot buy Bit or Ethereum. And I brought up XRP, and he looked into that and then got back to me. But that was at the time that BOA had refused to renew the patent, and they still had, I think, they probably still got 2 or 3 years now left on it. I think he had 5 years originally once that came up for expiration.
So what did BOA say about Ripple?
He was fucking floored. Well, it wasn't BOA that I was talking to. It was a financial advisor for BOA. And after he did some research, he was all fucking in. Like, excuse my French. But he was all in. Like, he saw the patents. He saw a lot of what they were causing their employees to do. And he's like, look, right now I'm not under contract against any of this. And went all in, and that was one of the financial advisors. Like, to me, that's big. That's here nor there, but I think as well this little stipulation that has been put into the who was it? Well, we don't know who it was. There was an anonymous party that wanted redactions from this move for settlement, and
isn't it funny though? Like is this entire crypto market? Sorry that I'm cutting you off, but it's just a feeling that I have. Like, isn't this entire market created to just throw sand in retail's eyes?
Yeah, I mean it's not for the retail investor, but unlike pre-IPO stuff. This is one of the only markets that retail can get into, like, at this stage. And
yeah, but how many people are reading this sort of stuff and doing due diligence instead of like just looking at the price?
Yeah, 100%. And we saw today, like that pump today was all coming out of Bitcoin and what was it? USDT. Like that's where the injections were coming from. But USDT is, I mean, that's Bitcoin as well. Like, as far as the liquidity pool, where that
here's my conjecture about Tether. I think Tether is going to go during the legislation, during the actual legislation coming to the U.S.
Could you say that again?
I think Tether is going to blow up.
Oh yeah,
they're not making the cut, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've got a lot of players that are kind of riding the clutch right now, if you will.
I think Tether is actually going to be the cause of the dip.
Could be. I mean, look at what all they're tied into with Evergrande and Block One, and so, and then they changed the definition. They've never had an actual audit. The audit that they had was a party that they didn't submit any of their books. So it was not a. It was.
And on top of that, the European Union, which was before they voted the MiCA regulation in, there was the guy that was working on that legislation, like the senior responsible for it. He was speaking out at the commission, showing his incredible grievances that they couldn't keep up with the U.S. Creating new standards every single day. And he literally said, quoted, "And now we have something called an algorithmic stablecoin." What the hell is an algorithmic stablecoin?
Word salad. That's what that is.
What does that even mean? An algorithm? Like what algorithm? That could be anything.
It's just word salad. That's it.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing. LCX, the MiCA compliant exchange from Liechtenstein, they don't deal with Tether. So if they are going to be the first exchange that's going to be cutting a deal with the SEC for being registered as the first exchange in the U.S. that's compliant with the new legislation, then they won't be dealing in Tether.
Right. They'll probably be dealing in USDC because that's owned by Circle, and Goldman Sachs owns Circle. So
exactly. So they want to push Tether out, and that could put the price of Bitcoin going down massively. Because most people, contrary to what many people think in this space, most people, at least in the U.S., they can't hold for a very long time. That's the problem with investors, retail investors. At some point when life throws you lemons, they are going to need to sell because they can't keep up. At some point they're going to need their savings back. And for many Americans, I believe, and Europeans too, most of the people have to sell within a few months, let alone a year, let alone 2 to 3 years, even when the economy is going tits up as well.
And I can comment on the U.S. market. Like, sells are right now kind of being pushed out. I've seen it now 2 times with Coinbase at the pump to 360. And now, last week, Coinbase, quote unquote, couldn't handle the trade volume.
Thank you. That's what my whole point was going to be is, first of all, yeah, they have people, and it may hit 12, but is there going to be anything available? Because I'm buying it at 18, I'm buying at 16, I'm buying at 15, so what's left? And I'm not the only guy that knows the name of this game, that we're not allowed to buy at the bottom. Will there be anything left? And I know Dave's got some points where he's buying, and so we get to a point where the bots that they're using won't. I mean, if we're buying at 15, and I'm not selling till a long time. I don't need to sell now. How much liquidity will there be in this market?
At this point, like, if we look long term, at this point, like, the losses for being locked out of trades from, say Coinbase or any other, I think the worst players right now are the exchanges. Like,
yeah, I agree. I fully agree.
Later on down the road, if we look 10 years down the road or 5 years down the road, They have liability in that, huge liability.
No. Sorry, I'm going to correct you on that. You're going to change those years in months.
Wow. I would like to agree. I 100% do agree with you, but I'm trying to talk of what most people could.
No, it's between this November and February, man.
Okay, so
it's going to be that quick. It's going to, because we're going to dip out in the world geopolitically with the fossil fuels in probably late February, March. March is like latest, because that's the coldest month. That's when the bill for the coldest month will come in, and it actually has to be paid. And that's going to be through the bullwhip effect, the point where the Saudis want to buy up everything cheaply and gain market share and put the oil at like $40 a barrel. And that's going to reverse everything. So at that point, we're going to be at the lowest of the lowest, and the legislation will have to be in place for institutions to buy up. So we're gonna see it within now and 6 months.
I think that'd be great. I think you're going to have a lot of people that got hurt by these exchanges shutting out trades, and I think ultimately, like, once the retail side does get enough leverage from their holdings, when they are able to sell, there's going to be huge class actions if these exchanges are still in existence, which is a huge reason for the exchanges to shut down, which is the bigger reason to hold hard, not on
we've got people that are. We've got diamonds hands. I mean, we're most. I'm not saying all, but yeah, there's some new ones, and there's still people maybe that have. I think most of the people that jumped in at 60 or at 50 are out already. They were new and they were really easy to shake out. Now, dude, I've got a price, but it ain't gonna be anywhere near where we are right now. And it's because we can hold it. And so, how strong are our hands right now? And Steak's got a huge point. Yeah, they're counting on some people. You know, if they come up with $2,500 a month electric bill, no, maybe I can't hold out as hard as I.
It's not possible. Plus, if Europe wants to buy from the Saudis want something in return. Like they need a higher market share in diversified economies, because eventually in 20 years' time, fossil fuels are going to be changed for other sorts of energy. In Europe has an agenda that it wants to be energy independent, so they're going to go away from fossil fuels that they don't have. So Saudi Arabia is losing a very big trading partner in that, and they're part of the military alliance as well, the US-EU military alliance, which has some other Middle Eastern countries in it too. And there's just a disconnection there, and that's why I say that math sometimes just doesn't work, and you have to look at the geopolitical side of things. Like, when is this going to happen? And I'll tell you one thing: if people have to pay an energy bill that's 20 times bigger, then for sure the shit hits the fan, and you're going to get the pitchforks on the road. It doesn't take a lot for some elderly to die, or for some people not being able to eat, or you see children having a cold. It doesn't take a long time for people to say, well, fuck this, and I'm gonna revolt, and I'm gonna go to government. There are already talks with the European Central Bank, at least in France, that they decided that the government of France is gonna pay for all the difference in the energy bill just by printing money from the ECB. We're probably gonna get that in the other countries as well. So it's just gonna be paid away with even more inflation. So that's just the mind-boggling thing. So I think next year is 10-15% inflation too.
How do they keep the USDC if there is no free? I mean, you screw our money over, there comes a time where we go, I don't give a shit what you're giving us. It's probably bullshit. We don't want your USDC, which is control, especially if you start making us spend it, telling us to spend it. The people here aren't used to dealing with that kind of restrictions. We're more, you give us what we want, or we'll complain. Bunch of big babies. You're right, State, the other day. The United States are a bunch of pussies.
So what if companies end up being forced into blockchain for visibility? Like right now, I have a very hard time after having a 501c3 in America. 501c3s aren't the way. Like you can do more for public good with a for-profit company than you can do with a nonprofit. It's the marketing side of that. So what if we take that marketing side completely out and go towards visibility on a blockchain-based system? I think that's going to take a lot of pressure from holders and companies that are holding blockchain, that they have to adapt and adopt. So then you're creating companies that are built more on a visible structure.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Sure.
But are we adopting their ways?
But I think that the normal ways for creating a company or running a business is now suddenly available to everyone. So you're going to see a shift in markets that are going to blossom for it, and you're going to see a shift in markets that are going to be hurt by it. Like I can see the banking market being a lot smaller, even though they're very tenacious in getting a piece of the pie and great in surviving. I can see banks being less important going forward.
Think of energy companies.
Yeah, but also tech companies in general, they're going to blossom.
Company, and I'm 100% for blockchain. But I right now the problems in energy, as far as Europe goes, are, they're way more than I understand. But I could see it much more easily dealt with on a blockchain solution, and with new companies going to that versus
how would that work? How would the energy market in Europe on a blockchain work in your eyes?
I don't know. I just know that it's a lot more visible and it's a lot more accountable than the current system.
Well, I'm going to pin a tweet that I have on this space, and it's not that old, and it's 6 days ago, and it's a great rundown for many individual European countries what their current state of their energy network is and where they're going further with it. And it has more to do not necessarily with blockchain or with proof of work using excess fossil fuels, but it's more an energy transition towards different sorts of greener energy, including nuclear. But it takes a long time to build a nuclear power plant or a hydro plant or more solar panels or more windmills, stuff like that. And it's the entire electricity grid in Europe has to be renewed. And you're going to need rare materials for that as well.
I don't think that we're at the point with battery technology to actually reduce the carbon footprint of solar and battery.
Well, there is a new battery coming out that is 3 to 4 times more powerful than the current lithium battery. So there is progress in it.
Okay, and I'm 100% for that. But then, if I look at right now, I'm in Texas, so there's a large Hispanic population that sends money directly Western Union or another fiat-based system now, I guess XRPL underlying structure-based system, over to people that can't afford energy or house bill or things like that. These systems make it easier to support. It's changing things in ways faster than I know how to even explain them. And companies have to deal with that as well. That's a different company will develop. And I think that's more of a solution right now in my mind for the EU side of things on energy.
The EU has the problem that they just were very dependent on Russian fossil fuels, but through that were also funding the war in the Ukraine. So through a game of chicken, they basically said, yeah, we're going to cut off everything. And
well, but Russia can't cut off the EU with blockchain, like at least on XRPL.
Yeah, but the blockchain doesn't heat your house.
True. But they can't say we're not going to sell to X company if they have a blockchain implemented solution, right?
But how is that going to help people that are cold?
So if Russia wants to sell oil and they want to sell it via blockchain versus via fiat, Russia wants
to sell it via the ruble, but they had a trade agreement with Europe. But Europe's trade agreement with Russia, they're not honoring it at the moment. They're not buying anything at all. No, 0% oil, 0% gas from Russia. So the gas in Russia just stays there because they don't have a pipeline going elsewhere either. And Russia's 95% of their internal economy is revolving around fossil fuels. So this will hurt them a lot more than it hurts Europe. But it's basically a game of chicken. But Europe is going through with it.
Well, and what they're allowed to do now is say, look, we're not accepting your currency or your currency or your currency. But when it comes to, I don't know.
No, these trade agreements are written that it has to be bought in a certain currency. So it has to be bought with US.
That's about to change. It has to.
You can't just change the currency of a trade agreement.
Well, Russia can. I mean, they're...
No, just because there are different circumstances right now. But you can't just say, well, I'm not going to use the petrodollar to buy oil, and then just do it through a different currency. These are very...
You don't think that there's...
it's happening, but it's...
Russia right now trading guns for oil, or...
Yeah, but I'm not talking about one barrel or something like that. It's just from a large perspective. What's being how do you say it?
What is most usable? Is it fiat? Is it blockchain?
When we have a precious metal or even that cobalt that you're speaking of, something with value, because we all know that our U.S. dollar has no value right now. They print that, they're going to print some more. What's stopping it? Even the people here are starting to realize, like, hey, we can't keep printing money because, people are asking, why don't you just print more money and do our taxes? I mean, you're doing it already. And people are starting to be aware here and starting to see that, hey, the same players are getting taken care of. It's the same people that won in all political parties back since Bush. But Bush won, not the dumb Bush. Not that they weren't both pretty dumb, but...
I pinned a tweet to the top about the cobalt, Javier. So you can look into that one. But yeah, it's interesting how everything is connected, and I think it's best for the world and best for the West if these things all dip at the same time. That's my conjecture, at least. So the energy market, the crypto, or at least the cybersecurity market, CHIPS Act, stuff like that. There's already billions of billions in it, and Tether being tied to Evergrande would also give China the opportunity to let Evergrande go bankrupt all at the same time. And it would be the perfect time for all these companies that made a fortune during COVID, because they almost doubled up during COVID with their personal wealth. It would be the best time for them to buy in again at the bottom, because they've been waiting to buy in again, and that's why we have a liquidity problem, because they're not spending anything.
Are they going to buy in, or are they going to exit the market and pay their executives?
No, they already exited the market. They've been.
without moving price.
They doubled or even tripled their personal wealth from like 80 to 160 billion. Elon Musk even got 250 billion. And they got plenty of money, and they just want to buy in at the bottom again.
Okay, so my question to you, Steak, is why aren't they buying now, realizing, because once you're talking...
Why would they buy now? It's heavily expensive.
Right, because when it gets to the bottom, there's only one guy that buys the bottom, and we've seen the spikes where it drops down so fast.
Javier, we're going to see the world dry up in liquidity on every single market. Everywhere. We're going fully to the wire.
Okay, then you're saying probably cash is going,
we're going to the point that if the Saudis want market share, they want extra market share in markets that are still relevant after blockchain goes away. So that means that we're going into like companies like Amazon, or even the home shopping, maybe tech companies, and for all of that, resources, raw materials, it's all going to have to go down at some point. I still think we're all too comfortable, and there is zero blood in the streets right now, in my opinion. And I just don't believe in this pump that's happening right now with the ETH merge and all this news that's happening with the legislation. I can see it really, really going down to the wire, so institutions can buy up. They'll be the last ones with money.
Do you think Ripple has a chance of buying Ethereum?
Ripple buying Ethereum.
Wow.
Ripple the company buying Ethereum stock.
The underlying technology.
Oh, well, every time a market matures, then the biggest players that hold the IPs will buy up their competitors. And I don't think that's going to happen with Ripple and Ethereum. I think that the IPs are owned by different people. And I don't think they are among the top companies that will come out of this technology eventually. So I don't think so, no. But it might be bought by someone else.
Did they have to buy it at all? Don't they have something they built with Flare and things like that? I thought that was...
I think merge and acquisition in this space is inevitable at some point, but I don't think it's going to happen. Like Google bought YouTube at some point, right? And Facebook bought Instagram and WhatsApp. Stuff like that will eventually happen, but I don't think it's going to happen right at the beginning of legislation. I think we're going to see a lot of damage in legislation because a lot of shit tokens will go away, which will probably move the entire market towards Bitcoin. That's what I presume is going to happen. And I think we're going to see that in the next 6 months. If you're in a shit project and you're stuck with your token, you're either going to get zero or you can sell it for a little bit. But if it is proof of stake and the owner of the token knows that they're going to be delisted, then they are going to sell it immediately because they are the first one that knows. They're going to be selling their bag and then move to somewhere that they know it's safe, which is probably going to be Bitcoin because they know it's out of the realm of the SEC. So I think that of all those 15,000 projects, I don't know how many, but I think it's going to be less than 1,000 that will eventually be on an exchange. The rest will probably all be delisted. That's going to happen too.
Yeah. Well, that's even back to Reggie again. He says 80%, at least 80% of the projects out there are infringing on his patent. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's the hilarious part, what you're going to get after that. So first it's either are you a security or not, or are you not compliant with the SEC and the exchanges. And once you are, and you think, yeah, I can be listed, yay, we can still continue our project, then suddenly you get people that own a patent that come knocking at your door and like, yeah, great, you just defeated the SEC or the CFTC, but you're going to have to pay up now because it's my patent, mister. I want that this and this and this. You're either going to use my chain, which is what Greg Wright wants to do, And I don't know what Reggie Middleton wants to do, but maybe he wants to get paid and get a good decent chunk for it. And that's just how it's going to play out. And then a lot of them will still go tits up because it doesn't fit with their business model anymore.
Yeah, it's called a double whammy here.
Yeah, you're definitely going to get a double whammy, and I think eventually once that happens, you might get a point where you only have like 100 projects or 150, and that's the point where you can say, okay, the market now is maturing. Now it's
You're golden.
Yeah, and it will also be more and more difficult to create new projects because either you're going to have to ask permission from the start from one of those people with a patent, or you're going to have to create a completely new a means of doing a blockchain that isn't patented yet.
Well, how scared are that the banks are holding a lot of these patents? You know, they hold them so you can't compete, or so that other people can't compete. How dangerous is banks? I mean, it is what it is, and they're holding them.
Well, and I think that's it. That's why some of these others, like Reggie Middleton, Compound, some in BSV, I think that's why they're forming these patents now, is to prevent big tech from owning the world, from Microsoft or Google or whoever from owning the world. They're trying to prevent that.
Man, I guess that's called the cock block. I mean, basically, they're cock blocking them from advantage, because that's the only way, and that's what Reggie's been saying, that, you know, would you rather me hold this patent, or would you rather bankers hold my patent? If bankers hold my patent, y'all are screwed. Or he has said it in the past. Maybe not in those words.
Didn't Reggie say that his patent is good for 20 years? Did I catch that correctly?
Yeah, I think he's 7 years into it right now.
Well, that's 2035. Well, have you not?
Yeah, imagine that, huh? 2035.
Yeah. Have we seen that somewhere, Dave?
Yeah, have. just one or two places. Just seems to keep popping up.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ! That's going to be the last one, right? We're going to be closing the door with the music on and lights on, and then it turns out then that we were behind the bar all along.
Cheers.
Yeah, we were serving the drinks. We owned the bar. Bye, everyone. Go home. That could be. That's cute to think about. There was a possibility there. I also thought that maybe Jared Tate at some point has to have a legal battle with the SEC. I think it could happen because of the 0.5% pre-mine. But anyway, enough about that.
Hey, Snakes, I have to jam out a little bit, but just thanks so much, Snakes, and everyone else for.
Yeah, I really like your positivity as well. Talk to you later, Wolf. Awesome.
Yeah, see you guys. Yeah, see you later, Snakes. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Have a good evening.
I just came up just because I heard somebody before ask if they thought that Ripple would hold Ethereum, and 100%. And that they're not going to just hold Ethereum; they're going to hold every digital asset that survives and is used and wanting to be used by people who ever want to use financial institutions that want to use Liquidity Hub. Because the Liquidity Hub is going to provide liquidity for whatever digital asset a financial institution might want to use.
Hey, Death, you seem to be knowledgeable on this. Let me ask you a question. And I don't hold XRP, but so you're seeing it in Ripple, not in XRP. Is there a difference? I've been trying to kind of weave my way in, and my fear, what I'm hearing, XRP no, and and Ripple, yes, and how does that?
Crypto? Sorry to fucking jump like that, but you're talking about XRC?
Well, XRP and then Ripple.
Yeah. Sorry.
So that's why I'm just trying, what is Ripple here for the short term? I mean, I don't own any, so I did because I bought at the fucking top and sold at the bottom. But
I think you have to talk to corpos to actually know the answer, but yeah.
Just curious.
It's holdable. I think it might be holdable. I've heard of them. Ripple.
Yeah, well, are you talking about Ripple, the company, or XRP, the digital asset?
I mean, both together.
Yeah, there's a difference, and so do. Just because XRP succeeds does not necessarily mean Ripple. I mean, just because Ripple
and vice versa. Yeah. No.
Is Ripple UK advertising? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I'm not too familiar. I know I got.
They don't really advertise. There's no need. They're target audiences and people that watch advertisements.
But RT, let Javier please ask his question to Dev Ranger.
No, I was just wondering on that. I'm the guy that pokes the bear. I'm not into XRP. My fear of going into XRP, even though they're making a big scene on it, is the value is in Ripple, not in XRP. And this is the little that I know. I don't follow it that much, but it comes up quite a bit in our discussion. So I'm trying to figure out reason I would get into an XRP token.
Well, you could only own Ripple if you're an accredited investor because they're pre-IPO so far, and you can buy their stock on Link2 if you want. I mean, Ripple's business model, is to be the Amazon of payments, and I think year over year they have just been astronomically growing, especially during the pandemic when everybody else is hurting. So I personally think that they're going to be massive as a finance institution.
I agree with you. I see the value there. And I'm not saying that Ripple won't go up, I bought at the high and sold at the low, but I'm trying to understand it more, and I realize that it's all over Asia, and everybody's told me this, but my value, that it always goes back to, Ripple's the one with the value, and XRP's just excuse my words, the bitch.
Well, XRP is just a token, the bridge, basically. But the bridge, in order for XRP to raise in value, it has to be used.
Yeah. The question comes down to is, not only do you think that Ripple will succeed in their goal, but that other financial institutions in the world will look towards being able to use immediate distributed ledger technology between cross-border payments. And so if you do, then you got to cut out and see, all right, which DLT solutions kind of fit the best for this. And it just so happens to be that really XRP, the XRP ledger, is one of the oldest around. And so with age comes that little bit of security in the sense. And so that's probably why I would say it's looked at more from a financial institution standpoint as of right now.
Not only that, they have over 350 partnerships with with more than 350 financial institutions globally currently.
Right. And those institutions that they have a partnership with, they are predominantly banks in the U.S., European Union, Switzerland, Japan, and also Korea, if I'm not mistaken. And it's also very much part of the entire transatlantic trade agreement ecosystem. So there's definitely a connection there too.
APAC, the Asian region is probably their largest, because you think about Japan, Singapore, parts of China. They have
exactly
infrastructure.
Interesting. Like I said, I just wanted to, because that keeps coming up and everything that I look, and since I don't have a dog in the fight, I'm just trying to understand it. And I know that Asia, but I know that the U.S. is trying to cock-block them. My thing would be, if I were right now with what I've heard, the strength is with the Ripple, which is giving XRP strength, but they're being controlled, or actually the SEC's got a hold of their balls right now. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. It's where we're going with it, and I'm trying to understand, why would I risk here is over here, and not that the over here is better. It's just this one is being regulated now. There are some that have already regulated or did an ICO.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to your risk to reward ratio, and it's all your own point of view and perspective of what you think will create the most, right? Because what are we all here today, right?
Is he Xavier or Xavier? Or yeah. Sorry to fucking interrupt, but what you were speaking on right there with the balance and the teetering balance of the system, just this market talk has got me wired up for Monday.
Yeah, and I look at it this way. When I look at DLT-based solutions for cross-border payment in the world today, I look at the two biggest guys, I think, are R3, which is our three-quarter settler, right, in their system, the Italian banking system really over there, and Ripple. And if you look at SBI Japan, Yoshitaka Kitao basically is the largest shareholder in both of those companies, and they are intertwined somewhat. And so I think either or, there will be some sort of DLT-based solution used for cross-border payments in the future.
Dude, you're a world of knowledge, and thank you for, giving me your perspective on it. And RT, I'm the guy that I think outside the box. I'm not the educated guy. I don't know shit about tech, but I'm the guy that likes to poke the bear, and I want information. And this, I know, controversial or whatever to some people in certain communities, but, there's people like myself that want that information to make more educated decisions. Not that I'm going on your basis, but it at least lets me know if I want to look into it further or not. And so, guys, I really appreciate all of y'all's advice. All of y'all.
Thanks, Javier.
If everybody speculated the market, we could all have our fair influence in it.
If the market was fair, then it would be a golden thing. Hey, dude, I don't mind losing, but it comes back when you come up and you go, okay, I make the rules. We're playing football. You can only have 3 players, and I can.
I love speculation, man. Continue.
That's why I am, and I poke the bear to get more responses for people. And sometimes I know State kind of does it too, but he's got the knowledge and the vocabulary to poke the bear and defend themselves. I just poke the bear just to see the reaction. But I do learn. I mean, I've done it in Bitcoin maxis. I've done it to other places where, dude, I want to see how committed the people are to those. When you're in an exclusive community of Bitcoin or XRP or whatever, you poke that bear, and I'm ready for what I'm going to get. And sometimes
I mean, a lot of times, I'll say this, I went into it last year with a friend, a pretty trusted friend from school and everything. It's like Forex, like the language and everything. They'll try to teach you it all in like a day, and then they'll rob you blind one night and you'll be pissed. So that's why I stuck away from it.
Yeah, no, it's being careful. Dude, this is the Wild West, and I'm aware of it. And though I think my lack of education and even computers and further education has kept me safe, because it keeps me with my guard up all the time. I've got, I sleep with fucking one eye open, and that's how come I'm not a trader. I'm not playing that game. I just, sit down, watch, hope that some of my decisions have been well placed, and you know what? I've learned from Blind Dave quite a bit. I talked to him and some of the other people in other communities. Dude, it only takes one fucking coin, dude. It just, and I've been one of those people that I've watched 3 or 4 of my coins that I've invested very little.
Here's the thing, though, Javier. Like, if we're going to mature towards legislation and towards regulation, and also not to forget enforcement, which we're seeing from Interpol, Europol, then to me this could be one of the last big bumps, and it's not just going to be one coin or token. There are going to be several that are going to be pumping immediately, which basically means that you're going to have to look at, to determine whether it's a good project, the tech has to be solid, the team behind it has to be solid, the finance behind it has to be solid, the growth potential behind it has to be solid. They need to have a use case. Is there a competitor? What's their business plan? What's their timeline, etc.?
Yeah. No, I agree, Steak. That's why, like I said, it's not that it may seem like I'm always a negative guy that's trying, but I try to dig deeper. That sometimes creates more curiosities in people's mind, or liberates people to really speak out, going, well, this idiot fucking asked that question, so I can ask I've seen it several times get into a bigger discussion on the topic by just digging in a little bit, and sometimes the wording pisses people off, but do you hold great spaces? You're a world of knowledge. The people that come to your spaces hold, man, look at these 2 guys. They're fucking incredible. They know their shit. Blind Dave, we got Gladden in here. Some of the people that I know, and so they're not afraid to speak their mind, and this is what we need. But sometimes what I feel, and this is just a feeling that I have, is that a lot of y'all are thinking from the same educated structure, and so it feels like not so much you, State, but the people here in the United States are thinking inside the box and still thinking, tech, no, who needs this shit the most? The poor people. The poor people need it, and I've mentioned it several times. The people, change is going to come from the bottom, not from us. We decide whether we use Litecoin at our choice, not because we need it. The people over there could lose 50% or 30% of their value in their currency. Well, that's why they do it.
In their defense, I would think that it would be very difficult if you would live in a country and hear so many different opinions and facts being thrown around and just don't know what to believe anymore. And I think that's great that you're doing that, Javier. Keep poking the bear, and if it works, keep doing it.
Right. That's like I question why Jeb McCaleb has not been brought before the SEC, and why he also stopped selling his XRP.
You wonder, or you think you know the answer?
I mean, there are a few I would like to have in a closed metal room just to ask a few certain questions, to get Charlie Lee in a room with Roger Ver as well as Jeb McCaleb, well as, all in the same room, just to ask a few questions, no cell phones, no recording devices, nice enclosed metal room, and even bring Jared Tate in there. Because even R3 is now linked to Digibyte. And it's like, wow.
Would you also like some brass knuckles?
Yeah.
No shit. Bigger stick, Blind Dave. Fuck.
Do you know who R3 is connected to in the Digibyte community? Do you want to know a name?
I know.
Oh,
you know. Okay.
Yeah, it's through DigiCore Labs. What is it? Darn it.
Rudy
Bauman, yeah.
reality is connected.
Yeah, and going back and forth with one another, and, you know, nothing being said, just, you know, a coincidence theorist. That's all.
It's just a happy coincidence. It's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
a Bob Ross painting.
Exactly.
As a coincidence theorist, I'll say my taskbar continues to play my AC/DC fucking. Damn it! It just started again. And it's playing Billy Squire. Damn it! Need to turn that shit off. I've been trying to turn Spotify off. Oh my goodness.
Right. Well, I think it would be interesting what these guys would be saying, and it's difficult to not see things if you suddenly start to pay attention, because then all the other shit projects just melt away to the background, and it gets easier to follow things if you know what people to follow, what news to read. But it takes a while to get there, to be honest. There's just so much clutter in this space. At least that's my experience. There's just too much shit, too much bullshit.
You're right, and I think there's paid shills that try to distract when we try to bring up subjects like this. I know that day that I was listening to you, and you were just trying to explain your point. You were just being attacked by 3 or 4 sides, and it was just like, damn, dude. I couldn't even jump in because there was no... people had no reason.
I had no reason to jump in when I did, and he said Blind Dave. I heard him say coincidence, and the fact was I was so attentively listening to the conversation, but every time I press the button on I'm trying to get my earbuds dialed in. Every time I press the button on them, it plays fucking music. So it's so weird to me.
Maybe
Bluetooth earbud being in there.
Maybe your Twitter videos in the background start playing. That could be it.
Usually my problem...
It's playing straight up from Spotify.
All right.
Somebody who uses Spotify as a publishing platform, it's just straight up, it'll just continue to play the music. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope it works out.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Do you have a question, RT?
Yeah, so the topic is when dip. Alright?
Yeah, great with Chip.
The slogan is buy the dip. That's what the jabrones want you to do. You gotta be smart when you're buying the dip. Like, you gotta buy into some people that can actually manufacture shit.
So, what would your people be? Where are you looking at from an investing point of view?
I think the Midwest of the United States railroads are gonna have a fucking big major boom, man.
A big major what?
A big major boom.
Right, so you're more in infrastructure.
Yes. I study business management, and like I said, I'm a speculator.
So where in the Midwest would this be? What state?
It would run from my city, Kansas City, all the way west to Colorado.
I was going to say to Wyoming.
And the infrastructure's there.
Why do you think it's going to be?
Now it's double stacked. I saw it last night with my own 2 eyes. It was double stacked with munitions and arms. The BNSF Railroad is sending to whoever needs it. This fucking war of words with these politicians. It's not a fucking fair game, and it sickens me.
So back to the infrastructure. It's going from Kansas to Colorado. I'm looking on a map because I'm not from the U.S. So
it's not very substantial, but it's quite a long ways still.
Why is it booming?
The rail workers just got fair wages and rights without, some of them with and some of them without a labor union.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them got a $3.50 raise, which is, hang on, what does the government say that every company has to do in America? Give a 1.5% raise to their employees annually? So that's very gratuitous there. They know that, people are fed up with working 12-hour shifts, 10-hour days. Like, they're keeping people on those trains for 16, 17 hours. Wrong. It's just wrong. Like old mining shifts.
All right. So why would they be booming then?
Because they struck a deal yesterday.
Right.
With their employer, they struck a deal. It's going to give them a raise. It's going to send the lines faster.
Right.
And yeah.
Are you also invested in blockchain or in crypto or stuff like that?
I have a Coinbase wallet set up, but I'm not invested in anything except for Ford.
Right. Because otherwise, I would personally recommend to go back to speaker and just ask questions if you want to, but maybe more listen into the space if you want to be investing in crypto and read a lot and study a lot, because that's the topic that we're having here right now, and not so much about U.S. infrastructure between two states. So sorry for that, but it's not the topic of this space. All right.
Real quick, were you referring to the Amtrak strike or something like that?
No, not Amtrak. Burlington North Santa Fe Railroad.
Okay.
Anyway, back from the train tracks and the infrastructure to crypto. I thought this would maybe tie into a smart city in Phoenix or something like that, but.
Well, I will say one thing though. If you look at all the mining and whatnot that is going on in the West, like what the previous gentleman was speaking of, who's directly next door to this huge mining rig? Oh, that's a Tesla plant. And who's next door to that is Berkshire Hathaway. Really?
Ah.
Really?
Well, that could be interesting, Dave.
Yeah, I think so.
I invited someone called Trash Cat, and he just came up as speaker. He could really use your help at some point setting up a trust fund and still keep your health care or disability funds. What's it called? Something like that.
Yeah.
So I hope it's okay with you, Dave, if you maybe could help him out or point him to some directions at some point on how to work that.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, what's going on, Steak? What's going on, Blind Dave? Heard a lot about you. Trash Guy here, a.k.a. Delta. Cool, man.
Nice to meet you.
Stopping in to see how everybody's doing. Like I said, Blind Dave, I've heard a lot about your work and what you've been able to accomplish. Heard you're pretty awesome, so hopefully we can have a dialogue at some point.
Absolutely.
As far as that goes, Steak, how are you? Blind Dave, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Got a lot done last couple of days. I basically just wrote history for the disabled within the United States, while being disabled to be able to invest into basically whatever you wish, whether that's equities, cryptocurrency, rental property, or to own a LLC or an S-Corp, through the use of a trust and the EIN number of the trust instead of using your social security number. I just paid taxes on some of the profit that I took out of crypto, 6 figures, and recently. And yeah, so I'm now living proof. I've now proved it. So moving forward, I plan to I plan to lay this out for the disabled.
That was a special needs trust, right?
Yes.
Okay, and does that apply to people who are also on SSI or only SSDI?
No, that should apply to SSI as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. So,
Trash Cat and Blind Dave, start following each other, please, because I think the two of you will get along. But do ask questions. I think this shit is fascinating, but
so,
I don't know.
Yeah, the legal structure, after I saw your article where you only paid, well, not an article, when I saw your post, where you only paid $27K in taxes, and you basically laid it out, I couldn't believe how simple it was and how a lot of people don't understand this. Basically, your Social Security only gets dings on it when it's used. Like the Social Security number only gets dings on it, only gets reports generated for it when it's used.
Correct.
So I can't believe that this wasn't immediately apparent to me. So could you just for a second walk me through whether the Special Needs Trust is owned by a company or how the process plays out?
Okay, well, no, the Special Needs Trust is a separate entity, just like creating a new human, basically, with a separate Social Security number. So it's its own entity. Now, a business can also be held under the umbrella of the trust, which is what I'm also doing. So by running LLCs and a S Corp and a 501c3 under the umbrella of that trust as well. So the trust is its own entity, but just to clarify though, it's not that I only paid, I didn't pay $27,000 in taxes. It's that I was able to take all these different deductions to only pay taxes on $27,000 worth of profit that I took instead of paying that amount of taxes on the actual amount that I withdrew from crypto, from the exchange. But the key takeaway is that the amount withdrawn from the exchange into fiat, into the trust checking accounts, equal each other. They match. So therefore, I as an individual, my Social Security number, did not receive $1 of those funds. But I still have that under the trust. But I did not pay taxes on that. It was a wash on my capital gains by owning a multifamily dwelling of rental property and taking those profits and putting that into the property to fix up the property and do other things. So yes, I run another business under the umbrella of the trust. But yes, it's its separate entity all to itself.
You still there, Delta?
I'm here. This is Dave.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
I think he just rugged and he's reconnecting. So I'm gonna wait for that for him to come back, and maybe you'll have to explain it again to him, Dave. But
no problem. Yeah, I've got to run to the restroom just for a minute. I'll be right back, though.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. It's just awesome to hear with what he's accomplished. And I think it's also possible to do it for people without a disability, but actually own your own trust and get your funds
also,
trust.
Yes, and also that works if you have a child who is disabled and you wish to leave your legacy and inheritance to a child. Works the exact same way.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. Well, Trash Cat is back again. So
Twitter decided to pull the rug out from underneath my feet.
Yeah, that's okay, man. Did you hear everything Dave had to say or not?
right up until he said that he has other businesses which are under control of the trust.
Under the umbrella, yeah.
Yes. My question is, I read somewhere that any trust established after January 1st of 2000, if you were to use your own funds or your own assets to start that then that would count toward SSI.
Dave, are you still there? He had to run to the restaurant real quick. He said he might be back in a minute or something, so I don't know if he's still listening. So you might have to repeat that question later on, Delta. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just
cool. No loss of packages.
Giving it some time, you know.
So how are you holding out?
Oh, I've decided I'm just going to deal with it and stop posting about it on social media. People are questioning my mental health and whether I'm suicidal or not, and
well, I'm glad you're in this space and you finally got to have a chat with Dave about this. And I hope that's at least one right point to follow for the future.
Yeah, just a couple more questions when he gets back. Number one, that January 1st, 2000 question.
Yeah, I'm back. What's up?
Cool, Dave. I have a few more questions.
Yeah, so I have, I think, 3 or 4 more questions, and I'm sorry to take up too much of your time. I realize you're doing real life things here. So, full disclosure, I am on SSI. I was born with cerebral palsy. My mother got cancer some years ago, and I never applied for full disability. When they did my determination, when I turned 18, they decided I should just stay on SSI. My mom got cancer a few years ago. I went and got a job. I worked at McDonald's for a year or so, and now I owe Social Security a ton of money, so I'm only getting $756 a month out of the total SSI payment. So that's kind of, messing around in crypto. I'm afraid if I make too big of a move that, it's going to be detrimental to me. So I read somewhere that after January 1st of 2000, any trust that is started with your own assets or your own funds counts toward your assets. Can you give me the rundown on that, or if that's even the case anymore, or was ever the case?
So say that again. The anything was, if it. See, what I did was a donation. I did an active donation of the property into the trust. Everything was done through the trust. Was donated to the trust. Now, from the trust, EIN number is how I have an institutional account with Gemini. So Gemini acts on the EIN number, not on my social. Yeah, they have my ID as far as that, but for the KYC, but they do not have my social. They have my EIN number.
Okay, so my question was, I read somewhere that after January 1st of 2000, if you were to use your own assets or your own funds to start the trust, that would count toward your SSI. So that is not the case?
That would count towards your SSI? I don't understand.
That would affect your overall payment, because obviously if you have the assets or the funds to be starting a trust, you have more assets or funds than you're claiming, and therefore would affect your SSI.
Right, but let's say that you have, let's just say theoretically you were in a car accident and you were paid a lump sum. You could immediately file a trust, at which point, and then have those have that amount dispersed directly to the trust. Therefore, you're not liable for that. But you're saying any assets held before the formation of the trust, that would affect your SSI? Yes, that would. In where, let's say you own an automobile with a net value of $20,000, just say. But yes, you probably know that being disabled or on SSI, that you are not allowed to have more than $2,000 in any account combined. Anything more than that, and yes, that does ding your benefits.
And my last question is, did you go through a lawyer to set this trust up, or did you do it yourself through some online document filing?
No, do not do it yourself. Do it through an attorney. It cost me $4,000 through an estate attorney. And the reason for that, yes, you can do this online yourself. I do highly suggest against that, because words between you and I mean something totally different in law.
That's pretty much it, Dave. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it. I've been trying to figure out this piece of the puzzle for the last 2 or so years.
Yeah, it's been a long road for me, man.
Yeah, and Trash, just something that I've heard. First of all, I've heard you speak, dude. You're a world of knowledge, dude. I only envy your brain. I wish I had 1/4 of it, but you need to ask Dave about the 1041, because that was important.
Oh, yeah. That was the other question. I said I had 4. I need to know a little bit more about the 1041 form through the IRS.
Okay, yes. Like, let's say your SSI. Now, SSI or SSDI, it still falls beneath the amount needed in order to file taxes. However, it's still good practice to do anyway, so you can still file your taxes that way. But once you have a trust, the trust doesn't file a 1040 or a 1041, or a 1040 EZ. The trust files a Form 1041. And there is no question on Form 1041 for trusts and foundations if you own or bought crypto, like they have asked on the 1040 for the last several years. So it's totally different by owning a trust or a foundation. That's how the wealthy do this, without having to, disclose a lot more information. So yeah, on 1041 form, there is no question for did you buy or own crypto.
And obviously, if the question's not on the form, you can't answer it, right?
Correct.
Okay, so 5th question, and this is a little bit of ego massaging for you. Where did you learn this? How did you compile this information? What led you to ultimately discovering this poison pill in the slavery system that is Social Security?
Right. So in 2011 is when I went blind. I went to a camp for the blind in 2013 to learn to use a computer without a mouse or a monitor. In 2014 is when I found crypto. So I've been investing since 2014 into crypto. So I in 2017, I could not take any profit. I would have lost my Social Security disability as well as my Medicare. And my insulin alone is $1,200 a month. For me to say hello to a glaucoma or retina surgeon is just $700 and up for no services rendered, just saying hello. And I have 5 different specialists that I need. So I almost had to move to Mexico over this. And so it just led me down a path of research to figure out and find out how to set something up like this. So that way then in the future, like now, I can take profit from crypto. It doesn't matter the amount. It will not affect my benefits. It's as though a separate, it is a separate entity. It's as though a separate person is taking that profit out of crypto. So the trust then has to pay those capital gains, not me. So on paper, under my social, I look poor. I still file my taxes under my social, but the trust is not poor. So, and it's a special needs trust. So the trust can actually pay my electricity, my water, my rent, all of these different things. Those are needs that need to be met. So, now I cannot just go and blow money foolishly. I cannot just, I have other things set up that I can tell you in the future, where, like, say, a mortgage payment comes due and my trustee has passed away. I have other things set up for that. So that way, at least I'll be able to make those payments in the future. But, it's, what led me down this path was 2017 was the first time I ever touched 7 figures. This market cycle was the second time I touched 7 figures in net worth. So it's like I had to figure out a way, and there was no handbook written. So this is just years of research and figuring things out, and then seeking attorneys who can write it in such a way that can, and the right estate attorney for me, in order to write it in such a way to where I can operate other businesses that I intend to do, as well as crypto, and also have excessive tax advantages, like for YouTube and charity and other stuff. I can write off my travel, all of this, an RV and all of this kind of stuff to travel to different crypto events. I mean, someone else has to drive it. See, the trust, the trust can own a vehicle. Like, I do not own it. The trust owns that asset. But the vehicle is not a gift to another person. The trust owns that. That's not my trustee's vehicle. But the trustee would have use of operation of that vehicle. So there are many different things that I can do in that way. Like, I can go buy an RV right now for $50,000, and that's a tax write-off because I'm using that for YouTube and traveling to different crypto events. So there's a lot more in there that the disabled can use in order to do other things, to not be stuck at home looking at the same 4 walls all day.
Awesome, I think I just had another question, and if this is pertinent, and we can do this in private, you could send me a DM if you want. If your attorney is licensed in Michigan, I would love the name of that attorney.
I don't know if he is or not, but I can tell you other attorneys that might be able to better direct you, or they may be able to set it up in such a way also. On YouTube, there's a group, the man's name is Mark Kohler, Kohler. They have a team of tax attorneys that deal, and CPAs that deal in crypto, as well as trusts and LLCs and S corps, and how to structure yourself properly. So maybe just consult them, or possibly just in your local area, look up estate attorneys and explain to them what it is you wish to do, because you do have to prove that you are disabled in order to set up a supplemental needs trust. But once you do so, then, then basically you have freedom at that point. And that's what I was after, was freedom. I didn't want anyone to tell me what I can and cannot own or have, So this was, it was just sickening to me to think that, here I am, and now I didn't save enough, I didn't invest well, and now what am I going to do? So my approach to that is, well, where there's a will, there's a way, and I will find this way, some way, somehow. And for me, crypto was freedom until I did well, and then wanted to take some of that profit. And then it became, well, I'm not prepared to do so. I would lose everything. So, yeah, it was just a ton of research. But yeah, you can consult an estate attorney in such a way it's a free consultation to speak to him, to explain some of the things you'd like to do in the future, to be set up in such a way.
Delta, can you give it a go now, or do you need more info?
I can definitely give it a go with the information that I have, and I'd just like to thank you, because this information to me, like I said, this has been the puzzle piece that, because so I'm in a situation where my disability is largely physical. My brain is probably 110% functional out of 100. And you know, it's crap to me.
I love your humor, man. Sorry, it's just phenomenal.
So,
But this is exactly why I wanted to debate Dave Ramsey, because I used to listen to Dave Ramsey, and he used to put everyone disabled down and say, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't own any assets or anything. And actually, yes, you can. It's just a different way to go about it. That's all.
Okay, the more we talk, the more questions I have, and I feel like I'm monopolizing, so,
well, Delta, here's one thing I want to say. Like, I've been saying this repeatedly. This is the reason, these type of stories, why I predominantly want to do these type of spaces. Don't get me wrong, I like to do other topics as well, and I like to hang out in other spaces as well, but I think this is missing in the sense that we will all at some point, disabled or not, come to a point with what will we do with our profits, how will we help others, how will we move forward. And in my humble opinion, these are the stories that we should be telling each other a lot more. So if you could be helped with Dave, and Dave is very eager to help everyone with it, that's just phenomenal.
What's blowing my mind is, that right there is like a $2 million book. Like, the information in it would be indispensable. Because I'm pretty smart. So, a little bit of background on me, Dave. So, like I told you, I was born with cerebral palsy. My father gave me a DOS for Dummies book when I was probably 7 years old, and it just spiraled from there. So now I do, I'm very gifted in the areas of network security, application layer security. I've written some exploits and gotten rid of those, and so information security, or InfoSec, is kind of my gift in my area. I've also made a number of connections, and obviously when you hang out with gifted computer security professionals, you stumble into crypto. So this was the puzzle piece, and now basically if I can, what I plan on doing is not only writing those exploits and selling them, but putting that money directly in the trust. Because some of the exploits you could sell theoretically could fetch $1 million. So you can obviously see where, like, I'm not going to be able to do this forever, because I'm already 32 years old. And the older I get, the harder it gets to move around and do things. So it's either I continue doing things on the computer that I'm good at, or I try to go out and get a manual labor job, at which point they're just going to fire me, or I'm going to have to quit because I'm not going to be able to do it.
Well, that was another issue for me, was that, you know, being blind, no employer out there wanted to take on that amount of liability. They saw me as a liability. And I lucked into a job, a part-time job, and I did not need a job in order to survive. What I did is I took all my earnings, 100% of that, from 2015, and 100% of my earnings went into crypto. So, in turn, I did not work for $1. I worked for crypto. And basically those 5 years of work, I retired at the onset of the pandemic just from crypto. And like I said, I began in crypto in 2014. But over that amount of time, like I said, I couldn't take any profit in 2017. So I used the entire bear market last cycle to do a ton of research to get myself structured. Which is why I tell everyone now in this bear market, be doing research before that day happens, because one day you just look at your wallet and see $700,000-800,000 or $1.2 million, and what do you do with that? If you're not structured properly, you won't be able to touch that. They will just take it from you, basically, and then take all your benefits. So it's like, how can I fix this? There's got to be a way. Which is why, I stated earlier, I'm talking to the House of Representatives from Florida. He's a big advocate for the disabled as far as writing other legislation here shortly. So, of different other things I want to get done and pass for the disabled, because it should not be a system of impoverishment putting you down all the time. It should be allowed for us to excel and succeed. So just because of being disabled, that doesn't mean I should be that my pursuit of happiness, if you will, or should be infringed. It should be.
It shouldn't be limited.
Correct.
No, we'll go with that. With your pursuit of happiness, that among these are guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are core bedrock foundations of this country, and I've always thought that myself. It's like, I didn't ask to be born with cerebral palsy. Why is it that I can only have $2,000 in my bank account? I don't even own a vehicle. It's not like I'm going to go out and buy a Lambo.
Right, but you can't even own Apple stock or Tesla or anything. You cannot have annuities or bonds or anything. And it's like, why? Or $2,000 in any account combined. And the same works for, let's say, if you had a child who was disabled, but yet you wanted to leave your inheritance to them, or leave an inheritance, your legacy to them. This works the same way. So if you have a house and everything else you wish to leave to them, you don't leave it to their social, you leave it to a trust. An EIN number of the trust with them as the beneficiary. That's how you navigate these waters.
It's so fucking smart. I'm so grateful that I met that. Yeah, sorry, Delta. Go ahead.
Yeah, Steak, I am so glad you have put me in touch with Dave. This is a blessing. My wheels are... I'm not sure if you can hear it in the tone of my voice, Dave. The wheels are spinning.
Delta, this is the reason what I do it for. Connecting people. Not to quote Nokia, but that's what I like.
Go see some of it. He's got videos that nobody watches that is absolutely incredible information. And it's incredible information for us, too, because we don't know what our future, we don't know. We all have friends, there may be disabled, but we're also learning how to deal. Though I'm not disabled, I'm actually finding the avenues to make plans on doing this early before this next run. You don't want to be trying to you don't want to be trying to fix all your shit during the middle of a run. And he has helped me understand the importance of getting your ducks in a row. And I mean, this is the blind cookie boy, and look at him now. That's extremely impressive. If you ever met him in person, which I have a few times, first of all, he fucking goes on a fucking dance floor in a country bar with shorts and a stick and gets grinded by all the hottest women in the fucking club. The guy's a fucking inspiration, man. I hang around.
I love that. I love that.
If you ever watch that video, he sings the 2 Live Crew song, "Hey, you want some pussy?" I mean, this guy, This guy is a normal guy, and he knows all the fucking goddamn words to it. Anyway, like I said...
Yeah, I went viral in Dallas. I was at a nightclub in Dallas. It was some 3-tier club.
Oh, fuck me.
And I went viral on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. You know, everyone in the place was recording me. I had no idea. A friend of mine went to sit me down. He said, "Here, sit down." It's like, dude, we got live music. I mean, we had a DJ. We had beautiful women everywhere. We had drinks flying. I had no idea it was a three-floor nightclub, and I was just like, screw this, man. I just whipped out my cane. I was like, we don't party like this where I'm from. And I just started dancing. Next thing I know, I hear, ooh, ooh, and it's like, I just broke it down. I was like, come on. And I got the whole table of women up dancing with me out on the stage. So I just you know, I just want to go out and have fun. And, you know, it's like, whoever's there is great, you know. So, but yeah, everyone got to witness that, from Litecoin Lisa to Clint Westwood to Mitch to everyone was there. Everyone saw it. You know, it was just a fun time there. And several other, because I get to travel now to all these different crypto events, and for me that's a tax write-off, and I'm just having fun because now I'm retired because of crypto, and I get to go travel, do charity events, crypto events, and stuff like this now. And I would like to take that a step further. But yeah, now I just wrote history in the United States for the disabled within the last few days.
You're a fucking inspiration, man. And I hope I can do the equivalent here in Europe. But we'll see how that goes. But that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, hopefully, Trash, and I call you Trash, that's all I see. Dude, I don't know computers for shit. But, man, I hope it changes your life. Follow him. Go to some of his YouTube videos. He explains this. He's got very little... It's almost like the valuable information people just aren't interested. And he's a world of knowledge on not only the disabled, but on his thoughts, on his ideas, on... God dang, you ought to see his computer system. I was there. I mean, I basically got an old fucking laptop, but nobody... Because I worked with him. We were knocking out sheetrock in his house that he was remodeling, and we found mold there, but he outworked me. I mean, dude, I'm physical. I'm not afraid to jump into it. And he's understanding what it's all about, and maybe it'll give you a different perspective on things that you want to accomplish. And fuck it, if you want to see a guy that ain't shy, go watch this guy work. I mean, you'll be blessed.
You definitely earned a sub. It's Blind Dave 2 on YouTube as well, right?
No, it's Blind Dave Crypto on YouTube.
Yeah.
Blind Dave Crypto on YouTube. Okay, I will definitely go subscribe to that.
Delta, Dave, I'm very happy that the two of you got to have a chat.
And also, when Xavier made that point about he's got all this information that people just aren't interested in, I understand that feeling exactly, because like I said, I'm in information security. That's my hobby. That's my life. I eat, breathe, and sleep it to the point where I'm almost paranoid. Even having Twitter installed on my phone is a questionable choice. And I can't get anybody to listen. Nobody cares. The only time they give a shit is when they get hacked. And it's like, well, you know, I spout this bullshit out of my mouth all day, every fucking day, and nobody listens. Nobody gives a shit.
It's fucking frustrating, man. It's fucking frustrating. I've been telling people about the connection of a crypto to the European Union for 2 years daily, showing everyone the actual URL for everything, and people don't even bother to click on the link. It's just fucking insane. It's just one of the things in this day and age, I guess. So it doesn't even matter if you're shoving gold down their throats. They don't fucking care.
Dave, could you tell me if there's a way for a trust to own crypto?
Yes, that's what I do. After or with the EIN number of the trust, let's say you have a Gemini account. I've tried Coinbase, I've gotten nowhere, but with Gemini, I was able to get in touch with their support team, and upon request, they will send you the application for an institutional account for a trust. And then once you have that information, you can take that to your attorney for help in filling that out. Then you send that in with the EIN number of your trust. And then, yes, the checking accounts that you set up for the trust, which I have separate checking accounts for the trust for different things, just to make the accounting simple and easy. But yes, then I can just log in and not from a cell phone, but to log in to Gemini and then go to Gemini Active Trader, which is sort of like GDAX or Coinbase Pro now for Coinbase. And from there, I just place buy and sell. I can do limit buys, limit sells, all of that, or I can just purchase and move it from Gemini into KuCoin and then do a limit buy for another coin.
Tell me how this sounds if you were to take into account your own personal experience. So, like I said, I'm good at computers. I won't bash that into your head anymore. So, I'm into a cryptocurrency called Cardano.
Okay.
I love Cardano. I love the tech behind it. I love the people. I may or may not be running a stake pool that every time I solve a block, I get 348 up.
Right.
So, the problem becomes, now I have all this crypto, how the hell do I turn it into US dollars? Can my trust own a stake pool or own crypto assets like that?
A better way to do it is an S Corp under the umbrella of the trust for rewards as far as staking, because I'm big in theta as well as in persistence, and the rewards that I earn, yes, the trust can convert that into US dollars.
Delta, are you still there?
He dropped the mic.
He's rugging again. I think he's having a party, Dave.
Yeah, cheers, celebrate, man. Salute, salute.
He'll be back. He'll be back later. He's already requesting. He was rugging a little bit.
But yeah, my thing is, years ago, when all this happened to me, it's like, now what do I do? And there were no answers anywhere. So this has been going on, I would say, since 2013. I've been trying to figure out a way since 2013. But yeah, it became evident after the bull market of 2017, where $1,000 $1,000 into Ant shares, and then they converted into Neo. I had 7 figures. It's just like, holy shit. Or the $1,000 into XRP then became worth $800,000. It's like, what do I do now? Had I had done anything, I'd be screwed.
Dave, I can't even imagine how you were feeling when you saw those numbers. I just hope Delta didn't miss any of those missed packages when he was rugging. So about the escrow and Gemini and the staking of Cardano, maybe you're gonna have to repeat it again. Delta?
I suppose I'm probably gonna become the biggest, most annoying supporter and fan you have. So be forewarned of that, like you're gonna want to smack me with your cane. Now, with that said, you said the trust cost you $4,000, but that can't be your entire legal bill. What was the entire legal bill to get everything rolling?
Yeah, it was $4,000 total. That was including getting the EIN number from like the IRS, Department of Treasury, that sort of stuff, and then filing the trust with different parish, with the state of Louisiana and the parish, and the transfer of assets under under the trust. That was all included for $4,000. Now, a LLC or an S corp will cost roughly another $2,000 for each. But I'm getting other offers like $700 from Mark Kohler's group. So I have a few more questions for them in that regard. But no, the total legal fee for everything set up was $4,000. It took 3 weeks in full for me to have everything ready to go to the bank and set up a separate checking account, everything under the umbrella of the trust. Also, I had my trustee listed as well as a backup trustee listed. So make sure you have 2 trustees listed on that account or under the paperwork filing. Just in case anything ever happens to one trustee, you have a backup trustee. And like I said earlier, I can tell you other things to set up so that way in the case of your trustee passing and you have bills at that point that need to be paid, as far as another means through the trust to be able to pay those bills without a trustee signing it. So it's a gray area, but it is possible without the trustee, like in the case of their death. So I had to think of all those things through. And like I said, I don't want to, I guess, state that publicly, but worst case, it will be proven with my attorney to my CPA of what I did and why and how, because at that point I would have a death certificate and say I had no other option. So.
Hey, Trash, I just wanted to ask you something. I know that you're into Cardano, but Dave, and there's usually a group that meets up every day. It's a Digibyte group, and you should look into it. Hey, no obligations, no nothing. We don't.
I actually mined some Digibyte. I had a Antminer S3, and
we're there. That community's there for you. You would find it entertaining. Hell, we yell, pull each other's hair. But we're a tight-knit community.
Javier, I'm bold for the record, but go on.
At state he's there. I mean, no telling what the hell we're going to talk about, but everything's open. We could bring up whatever, and we've gone into a different. But it's a good community. I wanted to invite you there and let you know that.
No, I'll definitely sign up or get in contact or do whatever I have to do. I love cryptocurrency.
Yeah, many of us. And many of us in the Digibyte awareness team also speak there. So I joined the Digibyte awareness team in April of 2019. So my father passed in 2019 of March. And after my father passed, I just said, I'm no longer going to live in fear. I'm just going to go out and take my, what I've learned at all these different camps for the blind, and I'm just going to go navigate there. And I did that under short notice. I volunteered to work a booth for Digibyte for anyone who walked up to the booth to be able to go back and forth on. At that time, I was versed in over 100 different crypto. So, I mean, I had nothing else better to do other than, listen to YouTube on a TV through a DVD player. That was it. That was my only source of information at that time. So.
And I'm sure we'll have everybody in that Digibyte group. We're all there. Everybody. It's a good group to be in.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
no, Javier. Thanks for the shilling.
Wow, I actually mispronounced his name. It's not Xavier. It's Javier.
I did the same thing.
My community. I'm that bear that likes to poke I'm the guy that likes to poke the bear.
You're the bear that likes to poke.
There's so many angles I could take what just came out of your mouth on accident, but
That's what it's all about.
You know what they call the fluffy guys in the LGBTQ community, right?
Steak.
We got Laura up here as well. Hi, Laura. I don't know if you were trying to get in there, but...
Hey, Ms. Laura.
Oh, no. Hey. Oh, Dave, I'm so effing proud of you right now, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Very well done.
I got
Very
a lot.
well done.
How long have you been listening?
Just not that long, honestly. I just hopped on, but I've been kind of following your progress, and I know you've been kind of, updating me on what you're working on, and for people who haven't tried to navigate crypto in a legacy legal world, it is very difficult. The Alliance, getting the 501c3, to be honest, I didn't even tell many people we were trying to do this because I didn't know if we would even be successful in this climate. And if we can find avenues and pave roads that others can follow, that is enormously powerful. And what
Laura,
Dave is doing right now is so powerful.
Sorry, Laura, sorry that I'm interjecting, but that's exactly what just happened between Delta and Dave, which is one of the reasons why I'm so fucking happy that we can finally do that in these spaces, because to me, and I know that this counts for all of you as well, so it's not just a personal thing at all, but this is, in my opinion, what these spaces should be about.
And I'm sure we'll have more private conversations, God willing, Dave. Hopefully I don't annoy you too much, but you're literally one of the only people I've seen that, number one, has a disability, because there's a lot of people that are, disability advocates, but they don't have disabilities, so they could never truly advocate 100% of their soul to something that they haven't experienced themselves, if that makes sense. So for that reason, I'm a fan. Number two, when is the book coming out? Because like I said,
I want a signed copy.
That's a $2 million idea by itself. The amount of intellectual property you've comprised through your own research, for the love of God, would sell 2 million copies in a week.
Well, I also help out a lot of people on the channel who are disabled. So I've got subscribers who are blind where they can remove their glass eyes. So that's they're in pitch black darkness. They haven't had eyes in years, and they use YouTube and the computer, and I'm able to walk them through assistive technology because I'm trained in all that. So it's just a little bit of a different path, but it's manageable. It's doable.
And the last thing I want to say, Dave, is I'm not sure if you believe in predestiny or synchronicity or any of that spiritual talk that a lot of the hippies do that are my age and younger, but I will tell you that before I got into computers, I was into a subculture that stems from the 60s, 70s, and 80s called phone freaking. And a lot of the individuals I met on the party lines back in the day who were essentially making free phone calls and doing fun things with the phone were blind. As a matter of fact, I have a friend named Tibby, and she is completely blind and has been since birth. And she taught her parrots how to whistle the 2600 hertz tone to reset the trunk in European countries and make free phone calls.
That's fucking awesome, man. That's fucking awesome.
Sounds like we got a lot to learn from you too, brother. Can't wait.
People, it's 2 at night here. 10 past 2. I've been hosting a space for a few hours now, but I didn't want to close it down because I think
you better
this is
do some cocaine and grab a Red Bull.
even more. Jesus Christ! But no, I've been doing these spaces, but I'm gonna wrap it up in a few minutes, so I'm not gonna.
Thanks for your diligence on this stake. I mean, I think you've been pretty focused on getting the conversation about like use cases and what people are doing and legislation, and you really are working really hard during your own personal hard times. So thank you for holding this space for everybody. And Dave, way to go, man. Way to fucking go.
Laura, I also gave you a follow because of the banner around your avatar, and that doesn't just apply to DigiByte, that applies to all crypto. Not your keys, not your crypto. But, so you got to follow there. Dave, hopefully we can have some more conversations in private. Like I said, write the book, man. I don't even care if it's a text document that you charge $9 for. It needs to be out. And thank you very much. I'm gonna go find $4,000 and go price an attorney. Let's get it. Let's fucking go, as they say in the crypto community.
Delta, if I may ask, I met you online not so long ago, maybe a week ago. And I know that you're not at your best point in your life. I can relate. I hope this gives it some vision for the future.
Oh man, I'm going to bed happy tonight. Holy shit, man. Like I said,
awesome, man.
It's LFG. LFG. Let's
fucking go, man.
Woo! Let's play this motherfucker. Let's go.
Right. Awesome. So, everyone, thank you for listening in. We discussed a lot of shit today, Laura, about geopolitics, rare materials, legislation, patenting in the crypto sphere, Web3 banking. We did some XRP, some DigiByte, and at the end, luckily Delta came in, and I've been trying to hook them up, Dave and Delta, for a long time. So I was happy that it happened.
I came in because I clicked on the space, and as you know, you can click on the space before you actually join it. And I saw Blind Dave up there on the top, and I was like, oh, yes!
Yeah, I did some advertisement for you for the last couple of weeks, Dave. Hope you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem at all. And yeah, absolutely. In the future, anytime you have a question, whatnot, just fire at will, and I'll answer to the best of my ability. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, and I'll go in search of that answer. So
awesome, man. It's been a very wholesome space.
With that said, I jump out of here, but I highly appreciate it. Oh, neighbors would love music. Go down the street, please. You're loud and obnoxious, and I hate you. Oh, God.
Okay. Well, all have a good night. I'm out myself.
Yeah.
Thank you as well, Javier.
Have a good one, Javier.
Always a world. Yeah.
Nice meeting you, Laura. I'm gonna jump out. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Sleep well.
Thank you very much. Good night, man.
Have a good evening.
Later, buddy. Thank you for your positivity as well, Javier. And he's already disconnecting, I think. You're still here, Dave?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm soon to go take a dip in a hot tub, so.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing this. This was probably your first person that I, at least, or someone else brought in. I might do that a little bit more in the future if I come across someone that I think, could benefit from it. But I also think his skill set would be something you could benefit from. So to speak. So I hope it's a connection you can build upon.
Cool deal.
He's very well versed with his network in security measures. So that could always be handy in this space as you grow bigger.
Right. Awesome, man. Yeah, I fully enjoyed this one.
Cool. I've been enjoying it as well. I got my work cut out for me here on the other side of the pond. I need to make 6 or 7 figures first, but I'm working on that. I just need a divorce that's finished, and I can write a book that says, well, first divorce and sell your house, and then probably not the best of advices, but yeah, it's inspirational what you're doing, and I'm happy that at least for Delta, he's been at a really rough period in his life, like really rough, for the past week. So this news for him is just an amazing medicine.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why I'm putting it all out there. It's because I have not found anyone else who has done this.
Exactly. And I haven't found anyone either, apart from you, that's talking about crypto in the sense that it has to go towards the bottom instead of the top. Because all the venture capitalists, the big banks, the patents holding, they're all about the top, which I get from a marketing point of view. It's a race to the top. But I think the race to the bottom is pretty darn smart as well for a business model. And I think you're incredibly unique in that, Dave.
Well, thank you.
So I hope I can add something to it in the future. This was awesome. Good luck in the hot tub, buddy. And that mustache looks good on you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just, dude, I've been so busy lately. It's like, screw it. I'm not even gonna shave. You know, it's it's like at this point, it takes so much to try to break out the buzz cutter to try to even get it to where I can shave it with a razor blade. It's like whatever.
Yeah, fuck it. But you look like one of those 80s footballers, you know, with the mustaches, the soccer players. So good on you that you're bringing that back after 40 years. Oh man, this has been awesome. Thank you very much. I probably will want to ask you a little bit more in the future about Reggie, and there's a lot on my mind as well with things to do. I'm pretty for my own feeling, it's very weird to see due diligence of 1.5 to 2 years coming to fruition, and that everyone that called me nuts is now basically going towards me to say, hey, how was this going? How was that? And you've been looking into this, and you've been looking into that. It's just mind-boggling. And it's all tied into our community of Digibyte. That's where I started this. So I can't see it separated from Digibyte. But just like Ripple, the company, is doing well, I also think DigiCorp, the company, will do well. But I just hope that XRP, the token, and Digibyte, the coin, will do well too. And that's something we've yet to see.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting times, and I want to pick your brain at some point, or maybe even through a DM.
Yeah, or anytime in the future, if you ever want to jump on YouTube and put stuff out on YouTube, I can do that for you too, and just shoot you the link on email, and you know, just put your avatar up if you want to have discussions that way in the future.
That would be a good way too. Yeah.
That way, then other people on other sides of the world will be able to at least access the information. Because the Twitter Spaces, if they're not recorded, then they're gone. You know, so and I did not ask any permission, but I have been recording this since I got back from the store. So I just sat down in front of my computer, turned everything on, and it just started recording. I'm like, okay, cool. So I have not published or anything. It's just I'm not doing this live. It's just recording, and so that way I can go back through the footage, whatever, whatnot. You know, if in the future one day.
That's fine. Maybe someday you'll meet a guy with a different name with the same voice. Who knows? But who knows? No, it's been inspirational. Like Laura said, she came back already, but I am gonna end it, Laura. But it's yeah, we're all fucking proud of you, man. Hell of a story, and it's a success story already. And I can't wait to see the general public.
My thing is, I've been saying this for so long, and it's like, it's finally come to it, and I finally got it done, and it's like crickets all of a sudden, and it's like, I don't think anyone else understands. It's like just, a certain select people who are close to me, and it's like, and I'm trying to even explain this to my mother or my trustee, and it's like, I don't think y'all realize what I just did,
No, they don't. They don't. And I think that's one of the reasons also why everyone's connecting so much over these spaces, because in general real life, how can I talk about all these things without sounding like a complete nutcase? I'm already sounding like a nutcase in crypto, so let alone that I'm going to say, yeah, here's my 2 years or 1.5 years of due diligence on what I've been finding and digging around. And it's just, I'm seeing the laughter from Laura, that's true. But it is coming to a point where I think what projects are going to pay off with the entire legislation happening now. So I'm actually hearing the experts and the influencers talking about legislation, and I'm miles ahead of everyone. It's like everyone's a fucking moron that I'm listening to. It's like, yeah, you're forgetting things. Yeah, you haven't seen this. Yeah, you haven't touched that. It's like it's so I want to execute that now to a position where I'm actually going to get some fruit from my labors. So probably with the divorce and the funds that are coming this month, I'm not going to buy a house. So for you, Laura, I'm probably going to pump about 100K in crypto at some point and see if I can ride the wave upwards. And could be a funny story in there too, I guess. Yeah, maybe I'll go 100x and just buy a house cash. Fuck it.
Yeah, but make sure you have a trust before you do that, so that way then you have the write-offs.
No, I'm gonna do something else. I'm actually gonna pay it in full. I'm gonna pay the taxes in full. And then I'm probably gonna do something in politics with wealth inequality and taxes for the multinationals and enterprises globally, because they haven't been paying their fair share at all. So how can you call them out on that if you don't pay your own taxes? Different narratives, Dave, but otherwise I would have done it. But it's about time that we look for more people that are looking at the bottom of society instead of the top of society. And it's been a great talk. Again, thanks. Thank you all for still being here with us. Sailing, Theta, Amigo, Laura, of course, awesome. And 2:30, good time. Night.
Alrighty, cheers.
Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.